Good evening, good morning, good night, to wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to the Metaverse Nomads podcast, and we have another installment for you this week. I'm coining it "Game On." So we're gonna have guests. When we do, we'll have it titled "Game On" as far as the thumbnail is concerned, because I think it's a pretty nifty name. But yeah, will any of these projects last the test of time? Do any one of these projects have all the answers? Will they all crash and burn and Ponzi us all to financial ruin? We don't know, but that's why we're all here. It's an adventure. We're all early, so just stick with us, and we're going to talk about them. But we have our special guest here today from Undead's Grant. He is the executive director for Undead Blocks. If you haven't heard of the game, you'll learn all about it today. And yeah, this is one of those projects that might turn everything we know about this Ponzi economics in projects on its head, where it might not be the case. So highly unlikely. A lot of projects are sound. It's just a lot of time that needs to be taken to work on these projects. But yeah, let's get into some overarching metaverse general news, and I guess I'll hand it over to Fancy, and we'll get into Undead Blocks right after we do some of that. But yep, Grant, great pleasure to have you here, and we'll look forward to Undead Blocks.
Thanks for having me, guys. Looking forward to it.
Yep, thanks, man.
Yeah, welcome back, everyone. So one of our main metaverse news stories this week is continuation of last week. The FBI hack was associated with North Korea and their hacking group Lazarus. So yeah, it's crazy if you think about it, really.
So I haven't read into the article, but essentially the FBI, after they're at this stage of the investigation, is saying that, and I don't know the Lazarus group, is that a well-known hacking group? Because it's not one I'm familiar with, but they're the ones responsible for the Ronin hack. That's interesting.
Yeah, this was a major update for the community, and they are a well-known, I guess, a red flagged terrorist group, or however you want to call them, hacker group, because none of this is great, and it's in North Korea. So as far as the funds are concerned, just skip right to it. Highly unlikely we'll ever get it back. As far as for the bridge to be funded again, and people to now take their money off of the Ronin exchange. I mean the Ronin, the Ronin chain. But yeah, there was some updates on the 14th that were had. We all know that the FBI attributed North Korea-based Lazarus group, and then the U.S. government, specifically the Treasury Department, has sanctioned the address that received the stolen funds, and we're still in the process of adding additional security measures before redeploying the Ronin bridge. So at the end of the month is when the bridge will be open again, and that's what the team is aiming for. So as far as one of these hacks that have gone down in history as far as the largest, it's good to see that only within a month, and the deals that were made with Binance to have people's monies returned back, or at least the bridge get funded so money could be moved around.
Has there been an official kind of a response to the question, why did it take a week or 5 or 6 days or however long it was before it was even on the company's radar? How do you, they walk away with a $500 million and no one knows about it for that long?
Well, it was only until after the money was stolen, and then another individual tried to take out 5,000 ETH worth of whatever assets he had on Ronin, when the red flag popped up, and then they noticed that the bridge was taken for all its funds. So other than that, it was a social engineered. This is the document here that's up on the screen, the Substack article that leads you through the whole story of how it happened. So it has been addressed that there was a social engineering, and that's as far as it went. So we don't know exactly, but Fancy just highlighted up above that there's going to be an official postmortem about.
So what does that term actually mean? Social engineering? Does that mean that they set up an operation where they were in communication with people that were a part of the company?
Possibly. Again, no specific details, but 5 validators out of the 9 were compromised. So no individual funds on their individual wallets were tampered with. It was just the bridge from Ronin chain to Ethereum, the EVM chain, that was drained. So no one could transfer over or anything over the bridge. So the validators were compromised. Since then, we got Animoca Brands, Delphi Digital. We have a whole bunch of others who have came online, and now there's 21 validators. So this type of breach or exploitation is not going to necessarily happen again. We all were aware of the fact, even Vitalik said it, that the bridges are the house of cards that's keeping this all together. and they're going to be exploited. And sure enough, that's all we see are the major exploits being these bridges with a lot of funds in them. So it's a hard lesson, and it won't happen the same way again. I could say that much from what I've been hearing and learning. So the project is still sound. Other than that, in my
Well,
opinion.
when you say the project is sound, so the way that I saw it before, and again, I have limited knowledge
Yep.
of the roadmap of Axie, but at that point they were pretty flush with cash. 650 million. You could do a lot of things with that. Acquisitions, you can do some crazy development, you can do some awesome stuff. It's choose your adventure because you're the one at the helm. Now, have they lost the bulk of their assets? Did they retain anything beyond that? Because I do know that you did mention that Binance stepped up and invested 150 million. But what that does is, while that does keep the project alive, it doesn't seem like it's necessarily up to Axie anymore to say, hey, this is our direction. It's going to be up to the people that fund it to keep it going from this point.
Yeah, so we're looking at the address right now that is involved in the Ronin hack, and it's been labeled that. So it has 144,837 ether still in it, which is about 445 million. So yeah, it's just going to be left there, or I don't know what they're going to do with it now. But
yeah, but that's what. To your point, Jess, or your question is that, and I'm not affiliated with the team at all. I am an investor into many projects, actually being one of them. But from this point on, even though Binance and other major investors still have a stake in the project, it's the long-term picture that I'm more or less looking at. And although people are going to now, based on their financial situation, get in or out,
Right.
and what they think in the circles and the influence that they're exposed to, it's just really a coin flip at this point. I'm not so much for me. I'm pretty confident in why and what I do. It's just sad that the team doesn't necessarily talk with the community enough, and if the community does speak out on certain things, which now the team is coming around, obviously for what's been happening, and probing the minds of the community who have great ideas and suggestions, which could help the project move along in a way that's following or not following, but keeping up to date with the space as a whole. Because there's a lot of innovation that's happening, and Unblocked Deads is one of them. Different genre of game, but nevertheless, I'm sure Grant, you heard about this Ronin hack. It's been everywhere on media. Do you have any opinions, or are you just so in the trenches that you can't?
I mean, we were obviously notified of it. It Undead blocks, by the way, not Unblocked Deads. Well, I'll
so
pound
sorry.
that into your. No, it's all good. Believe me. Yeah. No, he had me in the intro. I was like, that's one. And then he did it again. I'm like, oh
so
boy,
sorry.
that's too
She can't take too much more of this, Captain.
Third time's a charm. I got one more shot.
It's all right.
But thank you, bro.
No, it's all good. Listen, I totally agree. I got to be sensitive because Axie technically is a competitor for us. But what I would say is, it's very important to have that dialogue with your community to inform them of what's happening. And, while this hack obviously was unfortunate for all parties involved, similar to what Whittick has said, it depends, like if that 650 million that they had was being used as reserves for that development or for an acquisition, more so than if they're actually using that to keep their game sustainable. I guess time will tell how that money was actually to be allocated based on their future moves. Now, given that Binance has come in and step up that 150 million, I guess in theory that would give them more of a say over the structuring of how they're going to make decisions at Axie. But what I really think that money is just a stopgap and a bridge, knowing I think Binance is confident in Axie's model. I mean, from my perspective, Axie has been dominating play to earn, and there is no other competitor on the market right now. And so I think they realize that, and they think that they can cash flow their business. So that's why I think they went in. I mean, they're smart. They're not stupid. They're not just going to be throwing money around for any sort of reason. I do believe that Axie is still firmly entrenched, and especially some of these third world market, emerging market countries, as the play to earn standard. Until someone comes and challenges them, that's going to change. But yeah, it's just unfortunate for all parties involved. I think the dialogue could have been better. But we're all so early. I'm sure they're going to learn from it, and they're going to get better because of it.
Yeah, and to your point, I was checking out CryptoSlam, and we have the all-time for NFT collection ranking by sales, and Axie Infinity is clearly just surpassing or just in the front of the line more or less the whole time. So yeah, the numbers don't lie, and it is unfortunate all this happened. But you have to kind of keep your eye on the prize when it comes to any project. And we have, it's just, I'm not a maxi of Axie. I'm a maxi of the whole space in general. So but Axie is just the ones who've trailblazed a lot of what the token models we see now, and it's just like you want to keep your eyes on the Amazons, on the YouTubes, on the Apples of the world when it comes to this space, because more or less the big investors are in cahoots, not in a negative way.
Oh, completely agree. I think
Right.
without Axie, I'm not sitting here with you gentlemen today and having a conversation about undead blocks. I mean, Axie changed the game, and so what a play to earn is the hottest thing right now since sliced bread. You look at every other play to earn game; it's pretty much a Kickstarter with their token sale, their NFT for actually building their game. And so Axie has something playable where people can earn money. Their model works. Whether you're grinding too much or not, whatever, that's a whole other story. But the matter of the fact is, investors look at their model and they say this works. They've been paying players, and so they're going to flock to where the blue chips lie. And I think you're going to see that for a lot of these NFT projects. So yeah, it will remain to be seen until there is a competitor that can scale with Axie and challenge them. I think they're still going to be in a pretty good spot.
Right. So
I think Zamzor from the chat made a great comment here. He says social engineering and espionage are going to be baked deep into Web3. We should all learn to be vigilant about it. I think this is the kind of thing we're going to continue to see as these projects innovate, iterate, and start building up. They're going to become honeypots, right? And so they're going to become valuable enough to the point where hackers are going to want to go after them, where they're going to be having enough of an influence on the world stage to where maybe even governments might be going after them. And so
I think bridges will continue to be a target as well,
right?
Simply because they seem to be that weakest link.
There's a lot of new tech in the space. There's a lot of new tech in the space, and a lot of it hasn't been broken enough yet. So this is something to look out for. Your favorite project might have great tokenomics or great gameplay or whatever, but if they're on the back end not strong, they're liable to get hacked. So this is going to be a thing we're going to see for the foreseeable future, I think.
Right. Well said. I guess Fancy, we got another headline for us.
Yeah, this was quite a big one this week.
Of course.
Zuckerberg wants to put a 50% cut on everything that happens in his metaverse.
You silly guy, you.
Well, they probably looked over at Apple and said, Apple's been getting 30. Why can't we get 50 if we build the infrastructure?
All right, jump 20%. Jump 20. But
this comment down here really sums it up. That's why the metaverse has to be decentralized.
Well, it does for a number of reasons. As you guys know, I came from that space. As a consultant for Facebook marketing and paying attention to what they've been doing with their data for many, many years. And they kind of violated the trust based on their model, which is you are the product. And so a company that has that history, it's questionable whether or not you really want them leading the way. But what they will do, and what all of the other big tech companies will do, is they will create an amazing innovation that others can't, because they don't have the deep pockets where you can just say, hey, this next year we're putting 10 billion into metaverse building it out. And I mean, I don't know if you guys have taken the time to look at their long list of hires and all of the titles that are now showing up that are related to metaverse roles. But they will contribute in that regard. And I think that where they will succeed and where this will work for them is that they will be something that people are already familiar with. So they're not going to have to change a whole lot of behavior to get them to use whatever it is that they create. It's going to be low-hanging fruit for people, and businesses already have that relationship with them. And so it will be a place where businesses will want to set up shop. So if they can figure out a way to get people engaged in that ecosystem, a lot of people will flock there, even though the real metaverse and the real decentralization and all that stuff will be happening off of there. They've got the capital and the technology and the existing audience of a third of the planet's population to be able to get this set up and running.
At this point, they can just do whatever they want and be successful or semi-successful, and then work from that foundation. So I do feel a large sense of disconnect from, I guess, what Meta is, and then the origin and the community that is Web3 NFT gaming that exists right now. And because it's so small, I'm thinking that these companies could just do whatever they want. These governments can say whatever they want and literally dictate the future of where the space is going to go, because we're not, I guess, growing fast enough. The NFT gaming space is such a small niche compared to just crypto in general. Crypto is in the eyes of many, but when it comes to NFTs specifically, I see it hand in hand in the gaming space. So they kind of work together in that sense, in how I see it.
I think you're right, and I think here's how what I think it's analogous to. I think that Facebook is going to become the AOL of the internet. The way AOL was the on-ramp, and it was the internet service provider, and it was the place that people got familiar with getting in there and exchanging and then venturing out onto the web. Facebook is going to be that same thing for the metaverse. It won't be the metaverse, but it's going to be an on-ramp and a place where people get comfortable with the technology before venturing out to other things.
Yeah, comfortable.
That's a similar.
I was going to say comfortable and robbed. You forgot.
That's a similar perspective, Jesse, to where I was going to go with this, because if you look at that picture and that article about Zuck, what I see there is a meme for a person who both doesn't understand crypto people and also does not understand gamers, right? So I don't like, this doesn't look attractive to your average crypto person. It definitely doesn't look attractive to your average gamer. I think the key is going to be, like we've talked about before, the first person who makes the crypto aspect of NFT gaming invisible, and the walking through the metaverse as an invisible thing where you don't see the crypto and you don't have a wallet, or you don't even have to understand a wallet, that's going to be a huge success. And if Facebook's the first one to do that, I think it's going to be like you said, Jesse, where people are going to get onboarded by Facebook and then, see the metaverse at large later.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. They're going to want to give everyone one of their headsets. However cheap they have to do that. If they do, they would have customer until they need an upgrade or it breaks, for example, and that's valuable.
You know where the traders are if they own the headset. Any one of you have a headset?
I do.
Yeah.
Don't lie. Oh my god!
No. And I have
God.
thoughts on it too. I've used it. I've had it for 2 years now, and I've only used it sparingly. And the experience is far less than that of the HTC Vive, which I had before this. And their ecosystem is much more expensive, way more. If you go and use Steam games and stuff like that, which there's a lot more of for VR, they're much cheaper. The overall experience is way better on HTC Vive than it is on Oculus. And I would have thought they would have got that part right, but seemingly not. Now, here's another area where I haven't seen Facebook talk much about yet, but another layer of what the metaverse is developing into, I think, is really going to flow over heavily into augmented reality. And I can see them taking a lot of that technology where, let's say you're walking down the street with AR glasses, and any business that has a Facebook account, you might be able to see offers, inventory, things like that pop up in your field of view if that's the platform that you're connected to. So I don't think of just metaverse now as you slap the VR headset on. I think it's going to be that whole ecosystem that allows you to kind of overlap augmented reality with virtual reality.
No, I think I think that's one of the most exciting things about the metaverse that I'm seeing coming along down the pipe, Jesse, is like you saw that with Pokemon a little bit, where people were moving out in the real world, but they were interacting with basically a small little metaverse, even though nobody knew it at the time. So as that kind of tech starts branching out more, it's going to be really interesting. Hey, here's a good question by Black Zephyr from the chat. I don't know if you're available to answer this one. I don't want to put you on the spot, Grant, but how do we know how great the security of an NFT project is? Is it all going to be just trust the devs? I don't think that's ideal. That's a good question, Black Zephyr, because a lot of us who don't have technical background aren't able to easily just look at a project and say, okay, this one, we can't audit these projects ourselves as laymen. So how would you suggest that, Grant?
I mean, it's a really great question. And so to the previous individual's point about how, play to earn gaming is going to really explode when you don't even need a wallet in general, where you can just earn cash, or, I mean, even like we're looking at a world where most of us are using Venmo transactions back and forth. We're not even holding cash. We're just holding that security. And we just trust that Venmo has, the funds in their coffers to pay. I think From our perspective, what we're going to be doing in Undead Blocks is we don't believe everything actually has to be on chain. And so a lot of security risks, while people, your blockchain purists out there, are going to say it's the safest way, there are a lot of security risks, as you see with like what happened with Ronin. And so, for example, our secondary currency, we're taking that off chain to the point where we can actually credit your account for the currency that you earned and then airdrop you a specific token. And for our perspective, we are going to be keeping a majority of our token in cold storage so that you actually are keeping it off chain, as well as having specific accounts where you can track and find out where the money is moving and going. And so there's always going to be that level of risk because of the fact that like you said, it could be a government. It could be a lot of the different hackers that are coming out. You're always going to be a threat. You're always going to be a target, and people are going to look at you and underestimate you. But there are other companies out there that are evolving that can like just have different technology that is being put forward into the space. But from Undead Blocks perspective, we're looking at this and saying, how do we keep the funding safe that our players are going to be earning with? For us, we really don't need that much. I mean, we only raised about $4 million, and so we've spent about half of that. From our perspective, we're not really as much of a target as something, say, like Tether or Terra. And so you're always going to be playing a little bit of catch up. You're going to have that trust of the security of the dev team, but you have to take as many, I guess, security protocols and put them in place as much as you can.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Grant. And spot on. We'll get more into the tokenomics of the actual project. And this is a perfect segue into an introduction of yourself. We know that you're the executive director of, let me get it right this time, Undead Blocks. Perfect timing with the
you got it. He read the screen.
Let's go. Round of applause. What kind of beta player am I? Because I have access to the beta, and how do I even not know the name? This is a shameful. But yeah, let's just get on to it. But Grant, tell us about yourself, your background, and maybe about the team, if you can get into it after yourself, and their background, and then also the size of the team. So yeah, the floor is yours.
So my name is Grant Hasley. I'm the executive director, founder of Undead Blocks. So we are going to be the world's first FPS play-to-earn zombie shooter. We look a lot like Call of Duty, crossed with Left 4 Dead, sprinkle a little bit of Resident Evil in there. As for myself, I am not a game dev by trade. My background was in banking. I worked at Goldman Sachs for about 3 years doing asset management. I was an analyst out there. Most recently, I was at M&T Bank. I was a vice president, basically heading up their data analytics and modernization program in Buffalo, New York. I've always been a gamer my whole life. COD Zombies was one of my favorite games. I played a lot of NFL Blitz and Madden, and just I kind of was just looking at what was happening in 2020 with the pandemic raging and seeing what Axie was doing. I thought their tokenomics were all wrong. Personally, I thought I could build a game with proper tokenomics that has a more sustainable model. And so I actually have, I'm well connected in the industry. I've been a holder since 2015. I actually hit up one of my friends. His name's Isaac Nakash. He is our head of UI, head of product. And so he actually founded Team Finance, which is a DeFi locking protocol. And we founded Undead Blocks. And so, nice. We raised about $2 million in pre-funding. We just had another second round led by Animoca Brands. You guys are, I'm sure, very familiar with them. They're working with the Bored Ape Yacht Club on their blockchain game. And, very excited to be partnering with them. But from my perspective, I was looking at gaming and I was saying to myself, there is just absolutely no way that this industry has a monopoly on the monetization of your in-game assets, but you actually cannot buy, sell, and trade them. I mean, you can buy a car, you can buy a house, you can buy sports tickets, you can buy pretty much anything. You can sell it. You can even take collateral for some of these things with like a home equity loan, but you can't buy and sell your in-game securities. Like, what is that? And so from our perspective, that's what we're all about. We're power to the gamers, power to the players. We're trying to give them as many ways to be able to monetize those game assets, whether it's the dances that you're purchasing on Fortnite, the weapon skins, character skins, just allowing you to physically own it so that you can liquidate it if you do want to move on to a different game. We believe it's healthy. So that's what Undead Blocks is all about. We're going to be on PC and Mac. Our beta is currently live. We have a group of beta testers working on it, as well as Ray. So yeah,
you're getting it too far ahead, man. I love how you can just train ride all the way through every detailed question I guess we'll have where the community has. I know you're seasoned at it, but I like to build some suspense as we go along.
Oh,
that's just my.
I'm not a suspense guy. That's the thing is I just
put it on the table, Grant.
I want to give you the info and then just you do with it what you must. So,
that's
but yeah,
right.
no, it's.
I wanted to add while looking at that last image, man. I love that tagline of "Kill to Earn." I haven't seen that one in the space yet. That's pretty cool.
I appreciate that. Yeah, kill to earn. if we were going
The
to
first for
trademark
me
it,
as well.
somebody would try to take it over in their basement out there, and I don't know, pick a country. So we can't trademark it, but yeah,
It's
it
awesome.
is kill to earn. You kill the zombies, you earn. It's very simple. Like a lot of these play to earn games, they're very strategic. They confuse you with these secondary currencies and how to try to cash out. And so Undead Blocks is trying to take a step back and say, whoa, we can make this a lot simpler. It's as simple as earning the Z-Bucks, cashing out the Z-Bucks, or using them to purchase weapon skins or upgrades to your weapons. It's very simple, very transparent. It's easy to do. And that's what we want is if you're a gamer, I mean, we all know that historically gamers are anti-NFT. So what better way to bring them over with a familiar, addicting play loop that is just very simple to understand, very simple to understand how to earn. Like I appreciate the creativity of a lot of these other play to earn games, but A, they don't have gameplay, and B, they're just way too confusing. They're just very hard to understand, and you're trying to look for the catch. Undead Blocks is very simple. That's why our secondary currency is an in-game stable reward currency, pretty much as good as cash. And you can actually cash it out for any of the cryptos of your choosing, BNB, Solana, even Undead token when we launch that. So, yeah.
Hey, can
You guys are writing on which chain?
Ethereum.
So you guys are going to be on OpenSea and Uniswap and etc.
Hello,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah. So we're on OpenSea. We did it. Oh, do you not hear me? Or
Yeah, I
maybe
can
we
hear
lost
you.
Ray. We lost Ray.
Can you guys
yeah.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's fine. Continue. Sorry.
That's funny. Yes, we're gonna be on Ethereum. Look, we went back and forth. We spoke to pretty much every L1, and we wanted Ethereum because that's where we believe the blue chip projects lie. And yeah, there is a lot of gas.
What's that right now? For sure, yeah.
But by offering the packs as NFTs, then just one specific thing, you're saving on a lot of gas. And once you actually purchase your pack, you'll really never have to pay gas again. If you choose to take your withdrawals in Solana, you just own that pack and then you just play, and earn. You can earn anywhere from $1 a day to, if you finish in first place in a tournament, upwards of $500 to $1,000. It's just depending on where you're standing. So there's like an example slide of what the leaderboard would look like. You're going to have the waves you complete, or if we're doing speed running, the time it takes you to complete tasks. You're going to be competing against everybody else that has an NFT. So it's very simple on how to earn, and then very simple on how to actually use your earnings to either have additional fun in the game or cash it out if you want to, realize that as income.
Right on. And once again, we have another question from the active chat here. Grant, are we getting beta access giveaway during the stream today? Just saying.
Oh boy!
Shout out to my guy.
How would
Lumina,
I even do
I'm
that?
trying to get myself one. Lumina, let's.
I tell you what,
Our
shoot.
community looks out for each other. What do you got? What do you say?
Yeah, we can give somebody beta access. I don't know if you guys can run the giveaway however you want. I don't know how you do it. If you guys do like marbles or whatever, it's what I've been seeing on Twitch. But yeah, we can definitely give somebody the beta. Definitely going to give it to you guys too. So
Yeah, so what I think is a good, because we haven't talked about it behind the scenes, but I think what we'll do is you join Rome Discord and check out our latest announcement, and then we'll give instructions there. But yeah, definitely check us out, and you can check out GoRome.io. You can check us out there, or the links will be in the description. Check out our previous videos on YouTube, or check us out on Twitter. Excuse me. And yeah, we'll be putting up an announcement after our live stream here. With
Ray, I'm going to put you on the spot. How do you feel about the beta? You played it.
I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I like it. At first, I haven't played a first-person shooter in a while, so because I've just been cooped up and doing life stuff. But when I started playing it, I got that nostalgic feel of playing previous zombie titles, and I got scared. Like a part of me was like, "Man, these zombies are gonna hit me. Like I don't want to get hit." And then I was rushing, and I had to like get my emotions in check. But the game overall is smooth. It's fantastic. The art is great, and I like the speed of the rounds in between. Like it's pretty on point as far as any other FPS that you might have played, but just that much better because now it's being developed in this space. So yeah, all that hard work and grinding, you definitely don't feel like it went out the window after you get off and then have to deal with like real life responsibilities. But yeah, I'm excited to have a larger map, different maps, going into more houses where you can set up defense. Like I'm sure you'll get into the details of what's coming, but this is what I was just thinking and entertaining with the basic knowledge of what I been exposed to, or have exposed myself to the project so far. So yeah, I love it. It's pretty. It keeps you on your toes, and yeah, there's so many things you can do within the game.
Did you play Superior by Gala at all?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
did you?
I tested it out.
So compare and contrast, were they both like equally smooth and equally put together, or what do you think?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like the gameplay is smooth. It makes sense. It's a straightforward game that you can pull a lot of experience from other games. It's not something other than just the crypto part where which is pretty straightforward as well. The way we're doing it here in Undead Blocks. So yeah, I can't wait to play it again. I was busy these past couple of days since I got the beta. I was able to jump on 3 times, and an hour between each time I got on. But yeah, I could see myself just grinding away, doing the dailies or whatever. If there's going to be those daily quests, weekly quests, monthly quests, if that's even going to be a thing, which I'm one of the questions I have are. And but yeah, can I? I don't know. My mic went out, my headset went out. How large is the project as far as the team size?
Yeah,
Do we have?
we'll go. So Kevru Games is our design. I see a couple comments like, do we have any experience developing games? And so that's why we hired Kevru Games. They've worked on some small projects in the past. They worked on Fortnite. They worked on Star Wars Tales of the Galaxy's Edge. And so that's really who's spearheading the artwork and the development. We also have a dev team in Vietnam, about 12 individuals that are working on parameterization and just optimization of the actual game itself. So I would say our team is about 45 people total, including devs and
Awesome.
Marketing. And so we're pretty large. And so from our perspective, we have been working on this since July, like early July is when we started physically, bootstrapping the game from building it on Unity. And most games, AAA shooters take about a year. And so that's where we're at. We're going to be targeting the end of July for full game, but you're going to be able to start earning as soon as May. At the end of May, we're doing a Memorial Day $25,000 giveaway through beta speed running. You're going to have to get through the 5 waves as fast as you can that we have in the beta. So this isn't a game where you're just going to sit there and wait and just, never receive anything. Right. I think Web3 play to earn gaming has now become like a Kickstarter where you raise the NFTs, you raise token, you don't have a game. And so for our perspective, we built the game first. And so we're right around the corner. It is the way to go. And I think it also buys us a lot of respect and credibility within our community, because this is just the beginning. The game is going to get smoother. Like Ray said, we're going to be adding maps. We're going to be adding character skins. We're going to be adding more weapon skins you can purchase. Lots of different ways we can pivot and maneuver. It's not lost on us that Activision in 2023 is not developing a Call of Duty. And so there's this huge opportunity for us to seed market share. And so, one of our comments is any plans on like a mobile game. And yes, we would love to dive into mobile, but do understand if we go into mobile, we are competing against thousands of play to earn games that are potentially on mobile. And we would love to get there, but there is nothing for FPS right now. Nothing where you can physically come in and earn a currency. Absolutely nothing. There are companies coming and competitors, and so we are prepared for that. What I think our ceiling is look, we dominate play to earn. We are the FPS game of choice, but I think our floor is we're always going to be the zombies game, the zombies play to earn game where you can come have a great time. Like zombies is international. You don't need to speak a language to enjoy it. Yeah. Very popular in these like Brazil and Spain. They just love it. So yeah, lots of opportunity for us to have some serious staying power here and just continue to scale up as we see fit.
Okay. Thanks for grabbing those questions from the comments. Grant, you're good at this. I like it. I wanted to touch on this one from Diddy right quick before we move on. I don't know if you can confirm or deny. Are you guys selling packs on OpenSea right now or on your website? Or
they're on OpenSea. Yeah. So we had our mint. Yep. Okay. We had our mint. It was at the end of March. And so we're about a couple weeks out. It's on Undead Blocks Genesis weapons. There's 2,500 weapons out there that you can purchase. If you purchase the weapon, you're gonna have early access to that beta. You're also going to have the ability to play in that 25,000-hour pistol speed run. You obviously get your weapons for the full game. We reserve the right to add more tournaments as we go on, depending on how popular they are. If people think they're a lot of fun, and so yeah, that is the Genesis collection. Now we're going to be adding additional weapons in the future, but what we're also going to be doing is having a free-to-play mode where you will be able to just play around, give it a shot, test it out. Maybe we give away whitelist spots. Maybe we find other NFT projects to partner with, other GameFi projects to just run these giveaways. And so that's where you're going to see a lot of people that are pouring into Undead Blocks, downloading this game when it goes fully live and saying, wow, this is pretty cool. Let me get in here. Let me try a piece of the action. I don't believe in just having to pay to get in. Now we have to obviously pay some portion of it to help fund the payouts themselves. There is no such thing as a free lunch. But we definitely want to get as many people's eyes on Undead Blocks as we can. But right now we're starting with that Genesis collection. There's about 2,500 weapons on there, 4 different tiers, just based on how much weaponry you want to have in the beginning of the game. There's those zombie killer packs. Those are our elite pack. You get pretty much every perk.
Are these all limited in amount of the NFTs? Okay.
Yeah, they are.
And they're on your website or on OpenSea right now?
They're on OpenSea, yes.
Okay.
It's just
And
the
if
Undead
you
Blocks
create-
Genesis weapons.
If you create any more weapons in the future, will these be considered like Genesis?
Those are the Genesis collection, yes. Any additional weapons in the future are going to be branded as just Undead Blocks weapon loadout. And so the Genesis weapons, they're going to have the Genesis branding. They're also going to have those skins. You're not going to see that on the future weapons. So I think it's going to provide a lot of value and utility for our Genesis weapon holders. If you have a Genesis pack, for example, and you complete the beta, we're going to give you some Z-Bucks right away to get started on day one so you can have an edge. But yeah, lots of different reasons to consider one. Really, it's because we have a game out. Our game is right around the corner. July is coming. We have been on that date since last July, and we're not pivoting from it. I think it's gross when you see a lot of these companies push it back quarter after quarter after quarter. I know how the game's played. I talk to these people every day. They keep pushing their game back a quarter to collect another token tranche, token tranche. It's very frustrating while they're actually not even developing the game behind the scenes. So I try to consider myself one of the more transparent founders in the space. I'm always active in my Discord. Those people mean everything to me. And so we're just going to keep building. We're going to keep grinding to the top. And I really am excited about Undead Blocks just because we are FPS. There's nothing out this on the market right now that looks and feels as clean as what we have. And we're excited to bring it to you guys.
So a question here from Raw Mega. He's asking here are you earning by ranking on the leaderboard? And also I wanted to add on to that. Will there be such things as like NFT drops in any way, or what is the model for earning? And then can you also get things from within gameplay?
So that's a good question. So there's lots of different ways you can earn. The first most obvious way to earn is through these daily leaderboards. So every day you're going to have to come in and complete a set of challenges. Let's say you come in and you have to complete 5 waves of zombies to get money. But what we're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to scale up and say, this is a game for competitive people. So those individuals that last longer, they will be rewarded with a higher percentage of that daily allotment of the leaderboard. So let's just use some numbers. We've been telling our community we're targeting an average of $25,000 a day. We're going to give away that's $9 million in the first year. So of that 25,000 just for the daily leaderboards, let's say if you killed the most amount of waves by yourself and you finished in first place a day, you'd get like $1,000. If you finished in last, if you just physically did the bare minimum, you logged on, you had to go, you can earn $1. And so it will be scaled in between there exponentially. So, those at the top will receive a large benefit, but those in the middle are still going to receive anywhere from $8, $9, $10 for that day. When you compare our actual numbers in our model right now to Axie, we're anticipating the lower end of players to earn that $3 to $4 a day to be on par with them, but they're not going to have to grind as much. And they're also going to be playing something that's a lot more fun. And so that is one way to earn. You will also be able to earn through daily, weekly, and monthly challenges, whether it's headshots or kills, or for example, kills with a grenade, kills with a knife. We're going to put these challenges out there. So if you aren't a competitive player, you want to play more casually, but still want to earn good money, you will be able to do so through those challenges. That's a second way to earn. And the third way to earn is going to be through, like you said, the potential NFT drops, where we will have competitions where you could be eligible to win an NFT. Like, let's say we opened up a huge free-to-play tournament. There's 50,000 people playing, and the top 10 get a weapon NFT that's valued $1,000. If you're sitting there in the Philippines or Vietnam, you're going to want to enter that tournament, because if you win that NFT, that might be more money than you made the entire month. Especially for some of those scholars, what we're seeing now is these guilds are starting to move into Undead Blocks and saying, okay, like our scholars are very interested in this. And so we do have lots of room to scale up. But those are really the 3 main ways you're going to earn. As for that's for the gold Z-Bucks, which are valued at 10 cents a coin. That's an off-chain, in-game stable reward. There is a second currency you can earn, which is standard Z-Bucks. It's just traditional Z-Bucks. You call them green Z-Bucks, whatever you want. Those you earn for each specific match you play. And those will be used to upgrade your weapons, to pack-a-punch them. They will also be used to add additional weapons. We have another 20 weapons that we aren't showing you guys on that screen. The F1, the shotgun, the MP5, the AK. Those are our Genesis collection. We have 20 more that we've developed and we haven't even released. And to get those and to add those to your pack, you're going to have to earn those standard Z-Bucks. That's by grinding. So we're removing the pay to win because you physically can't purchase them. You are going to have to add them through gameplay and through actually playing the game and having a good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think we should move on to this gameplay video that we can have in the background.
We weren't able to hear you there, Ray. I know you're trying to.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Am I clear?
Yes.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, some many technical difficulties, but that was a great explanation. That was one of the questions. When tokens, right? So when are the tokens? What are the tokens? And why are the tokens? So if I know there's 3 separate ones: Z-Bucks, gold, and then gold Z-Bucks, and then there's the Undead token. So just, I guess if you can briefly again, I know you covered Z-Bucks and gold Z-Bucks, but where do these tokens hold their place in your metaverse? I'll call it.
Sure. I know. Look, there's a lot of information. I want to get as much as it out to your viewers as possible.
Sure.
So if you ever want me to repeat anything, let me know. The Undead token is the governance token, and so that is what people will have if they want to vote on where we want to take the story. We're building a full storyline in here. There will be Easter eggs. They will be able to vote on future maps. They will be able to vote on when to add weapons. They will also be able to vote on when we issue dividends to our token holders if we are profitable, which we are anticipating with the amount of revenue we can generate from the weapon skins, from the character skins, from the dancing skins, like even in Fortnite. So lots of different reasons to own the token. One of the big ones is this is something that no other project is doing. And when we have our staking pools for Undead token, you're going to be able to earn APY, but we're also going to offer weapon packs too. And so it is going to be a sizable amount of Undead you have to stake, but you will get a weapon up front. And the reason why we're doing this is because we don't want you guys to just sit around for a 6, 9, 12-month pool on a token lock and not be able to do anything. And then you're just going to be looking at the price. Well, we'll give you a weapon. We'll take the edge off. You can go play. We'll show you why this game is going to be epic. So we are going to be offering whole new weapons for our staking pools, and that's going to go live at the beginning of May. That's when we're targeting the token launch. And so you'll be able to stake Undead token, earn APY, but also get a brand new weapon pack that we haven't released to the public. Now, they're not going to be as powerful as the weapons that you're seeing in the Genesis collection. The top tier that you're going to stake would be on par with about the assassin pack of those 4 packs. There's nothing that's going to be like the zombie killer pack. That will always be like our flagship pack, but it's just another way for us to add players into the ecosystem, have them invest in us, we invest in them. And so I think it's going to be a very unique value proposition because a lot of people love staking, but they just don't feel comfortable with the token lock for that amount of time. So we're basically putting our money where our mouth is up front and saying, we will let you mint a weapon pack for free, but you're going to have to stake a sizable amount of Undead token to do so.
Awesome. Thanks so much for going through each one of those. So when I was playing the game, I was only able to get certain weapons or open certain or resupply my ammo by spending Z-Bucks.
So that's XP. That's just in the game. The Z-Bucks is the in-game reward token, but this is just like what you're watching. It's XP. So the guy just got that kill there. Now he can go to the weapon crate. He can get a different weapon. He's going to pick up a shotgun. So yeah, it's different. It's just the XP that if you've ever watched COD Zombies, if you guys in the audience, take a look at COD Zombies. Our game is very similar in format. Just the artwork looks a lot more like Left 4 Dead. So yeah.
Awesome. So another question I had was this might be something that I heard talked about, the renting of weapons. So we see in the space a lot of breed to rent out models, and then just renting in general, scholarships, some different names here and there. But what are the chances, and if so, you're able to earn by lending extra weapons that you might have won or bought? Maybe you have more than one pack. How is that possible? And
well, I love the renting, and so the reason why we love it so much is because we're offering it for free. Like yes, guilds are important. They have the players, but if you have a weapon pack in the audience, you could just lend it out to whoever you want. You can seek out that feedback. You could also just list it for free on the Undead Blocks marketplace. It's completely gasless. The reason why is the NFT actually will not be changing hands. You will enter into a contract that will send you an activation code. Your weapon will then become inactive in our game, and that individual that receives the activation code can put it in, and then they will have access to your weapon loadout for a day, 3 days, a week, a month, whatever terms and conditions you set, and then you'll be able to earn a split of what they earn. I mean, in Axie, what is it, like 70-30? That's about what we're going to be targeting, but you can set those splits as you choose. Right. And so it is free to rent, and it's gasless to rent. So that is it's a key differentiator for us because of the fact that we're taking Z-Bucks off chain. We can also offer you the gasless experience of earning those Z-Bucks. And so we're really removing gas from the equation besides purchasing the NFT. And then if you wanted to take your Z-Bucks and withdraw on Ethereum, we'd have to send it to you, but we'd pay the gas fee. So we take that out from your earnings. But yeah, it's very simple model. We're trying to reduce the gas, and we're trying to just keep as much money in the pockets of our players as we can. That's really what we're all about.
You kind of piqued my interest there. So You know, as a person who has some scholars that I care about, I don't want to get you too deep into it as far as details, but you're basically saying that as a company, you guys support the idea of people possibly buying packs and renting them out to scholarships and whatnot.
Correct. Like we have a guild on stat, Gen Zero guild, and we're currently having discussions with other guilds, some of the larger ones that I'm sure you guys know who they are. They're very interested in this, and they're very intrigued. And we didn't want Undead Blocks to become just dominated by guilds to start, and so that's why we did the mint for those NFT collectors, gaming enthusiasts, and now we're ready to scale up our operations. But yes, they're very important, and since we're offering that in-game stable reward by collateralizing Undead token to help pay when our revenue does not equal our expense, this is a very unique value proposition for these guilds because they don't want to make sizable investments in games that are only going to last 2 to 3 months. I mean, not to anti-shield other projects, but you're seeing hyperinflation rampant through the industry. Thetan Arena, Peg Axie, Thetan Arena is
nobody has it fixed yet. Yeah,
they don't have it fixed, and so we've cracked that code. What we're doing is we have a very profitable model of skins, character skins. You look at how much Fortnite's bringing in; they're bringing in billions of dollars from this stuff. But now, what if I told you can have the same experience, but you actually own those assets and you can sell them on OpenSea? We're basically moving away from that hyperinflationary model to allowing our players to value that equity in their assets. Because when you're burning those Z-Bucks for other weapons, like let's say, for example, we have Sniper Night, and you need a sniper to play, and we will give away 50 grand. Okay, well, everyone's going to burn their Z-Bucks to get a sniper because they're going to feel like they have an edge because not a lot of people have this weapon. And so we can continue doing this. We're basically passing the hyperinflationary buck off of the ability to upgrade your weapons while offering consistent payouts on those daily leaderboards through those weekly challenges. We know how much we need to save from a treasury management perspective in our coffers so that our players continue to get paid out. And I haven't even talked about this. We have 23% of our tokenomics for Undead token is in a kill to earn fund, which is a backstop. We know a lot of companies aren't profitable off the top. And so we have that backup just in case if we need to use it. We can sell some Undead token to continue paying players at the rate they're accustomed to. So a lot of different ways for us to be the most sustainable play to earn game of our time. We haven't even talked about the ad revenue that we're going to be generating for some of our maps as well as the weapon skins. This stuff is very popular. FPS is everywhere. 100 million daily active FPS players. Like I told Ray, doesn't take a lot of that percentage to just make the switch over to Undead Blocks for us to really scale this thing up. We just have to make it simple for them and easy for them and encourage them to come over and just join the fight with us.
Right. Beautifully said, man. And it just, you kind of answered one of my next questions was the value extractors are coming. How do the tokenomics prevent exploitation? So it seems like after what you were saying, if there's anything else you'd want to add into that, go ahead. But,
I'll add.
Yeah, the system is rife with people who are
value extractors can only extract as much value as we're willing to give them, fellas.
Exactly.
We're not reinventing the wheel with this setup. I think you're looking at other companies. They don't sell you goods and services that you won't pay for. For example, if you look at something like Pokemon or even just sports cards in general, they offer you that ability to get that really expensive card that you can sell. Then why do you think people have NFTs? They want to pull that one of one. They want to pull that gold, whatever, called a moonbird. I know that's the trend of the weekend. And so for our perspective, by offering the same amount of that gold Z-Bucks, whether it's every day, week, or month, and physically saying this is how much money is up for grabs. Oh, and by the way, we have it completely collateralized, so there is no issue about liquidity. That is going to be very refreshing because then it's just game on. Then it's just the best gamers are going to rise to the top. And so it is going to be the most sustainable play to earn game because we have no hyperinflationary mechanism within the actual payouts. So many people, if you look at the analytics from Twitter, when you parse the data of the tweets, they're saying, we don't care what we play, just please pay us. Like, the fact that SLP was at 40 cents and it went to 2 cents really fucked up a lot of people. It did. It did. It's a mental game for them. And so by having a 10-cent in-game stable reward, that is officially taken out of the equation. You're not going to need to look at CoinMarketCap and say, well, how is my secondary currency doing? Well, I got to cash it out all right now. And then you see the market just get dumped. It's not going to happen because it physically won't be on CoinMarketCap. But we will have that money there. You'll be able to physically see it in the fund and say, this is how much we're going to be distributing. Like we might do specials for the weekends, or we might do a quarterly huge tournament, give away a lot of money. So for our perspective, that is the route we're taking. I truly believe in-game stable reward currencies will be the norm, not the exception going forward.
Right. Totally
I think
agree.
you're right on that. I think a lot of the top projects that are launching right now, that's the kind of the thought process behind it. So I like to hear you going that way as well. Shout out to Didi again from the chat. He had a question for you, Grant. Show them the reload perk. They will be surprised.
I would if we were playing live. I would if this
Maybe
wasn't
talk
loop
about
footage.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
So
well, no, I was going to say, well, you can always join the Discord, the official Discord server of Undead Blocks, and there's people who stream there. Sir Chicken is one that I've seen a lot. So yeah, you could always check out
That
people
guy's a
streaming.
maniac. He's a former
he's
CS:GO
insane.
professional.
Just knifing everything for like hundreds of rounds. It seems. But yeah, definitely check out if you want to see any particular things. But yeah, that's a great place to go.
The 4 perks are reload root beer. Just you can reload your weapon faster. There's Diet Sprint that turns you into a Lambo, basically turns you into Usain Bolt. Then you have Dr. Helper, so you can revive yourself if you need to. Then Macho Do basically turns you into Hulk, that you can't get turned down. So, and those are all perks that are going to be purchasable in Z-Bucks once our game goes live. And so that's just another way for us to continue with the burn mechanisms. We have many different burn mechanisms. A lot of these games don't have. One thing I want to touch on is the licensing out of the weapon skins. Like if you're a company, if you're an NFT project, what better way to just give Undead Blocks the ability to make a weapon skin, give it away in one of these tournaments and have 20,000 people playing your game trying to fight for that skin. And then you all of a sudden have that branding. So many people, companies, Whitticus, I said you told us you were in from marketing side on Facebook. Look at how much money was spent by Coinbase on a Super Bowl, and they're looking for ways to generate that user growth from people that aren't in Web3 at all. But from our perspective, we're looking at this and saying, how do we exactly target that Venn diagram of people that are gamers and people that are into crypto? Because we know we can't compete with Activision. Let's be honest. We can't have jetpacks flying around. We can't have all these crazy graphics that you see in Warzone. We get that. We're understanding of that. But where we can dominate is with these people that identify with Web3 and are actually into crypto. That's why we're baking in the crypto voice lines. That's why in our mall map, we're going to have 75 different storefronts. Don't hold me that number. It's going to be something like that, where you're going to physically see crypto companies, centralized exchanges, alpha groups, NFT groups that are going to be able to license out their ad space. So you're walking through this map and you're saying, okay, this kind of feels like a metaverse. You're looking at it from the first person perspective. Yep. And they're going to want to rent out that ad space, whether it's as simple as sponsor an Undead Blocks tournament for 25 grand a day, or maybe we do something more long-term. There's a lot of interest in this. For example, Animoca Brands is our top partner. We're doing the Animoca Cafe. You're only going to be able to purchase mochas at the Animoca Cafe. Gen Block Capital was another one. We're selling Gen Block sunscreen. So our creative genius is going to be on display, but every partnership and collab we can do like that, it just increases the sustainability model. That's less liquidity drain. That's more outside liquidity that's being put into our pool that we can use to pay players.
That's awesome. You remind me of that line from Ready Player One where the guy was talking about filling up the players' ad space with all the different ads. Exactly. I know you guys are going to go that far, but it was just funny.
Yeah, I don't think it would go that far, but you're exactly right. And so many people are trying to build these metaverses. It's hard to do that in some of these other mobile games. Like they don't have the dev capability. Yeah, we want to get into mobile. Of course we do. Let's look at how many mobile games, how profitable they are. But if we can dominate FPS, I'm telling you, like our sequel, when we build it on a different engine or go from there and then everyone shifts over from Undead Blocks, they can use their weapons into the next game. Like I'm telling you, we could really scale this thing up right. And just by allowing those players to physically hold the equity in their assets. We're not a project you're going to expect 9, 10, 12x on an NFT. We get that. But if you guys are sitting on here and you're scholars and you're looking and you're saying, okay, my Axie scholars are P&Ling me so much, this is the move. This is the next shift into, okay, now I can go into Web3 and FPS gaming more so than just a point and click game. I love Axie. I'll never hate on Axie. They are trailblazers. They changed the game. I wouldn't be here without them, but we are offering something different. There's plenty of room for all of us to grow. people ask me all the time, what are some other games I like? I think Illuvium looks great. I think Phantom Galaxies looks great. They're in the Animoca family. You could have a portfolio of all these different games and be, a scholar for each of them, and then also play them when you want. It's not, you don't have to be loyal just to one game. There's 24 hours in a day. And we all know if you play a specific game so long, eventually you'll get tired of it. But I think there's enough people in the world for us. We don't need more than 50,000 to start 100,000 active players in the world out of 7 billion, 1 billion FPS players for us to really take off. And so that's why I'm just so excited for Undead Blocks.
Yeah, and you understand the abundance of the market that you're dealing with, so that's good to hear as well. That's one of the things that people like Zuck and them don't really get. Gamers will be playing multiple games in a day, especially if they're getting paid from all of them. So it's on you to be one of those games and have yourself structured in a way to where they're incentivized to do so.
His quote about this is a market rate. It might not have been him. I think it might have been someone under him. It said, this is competitive with what the market is yielding. And I'm like, what market are you looking at? Are you looking at OpenSea where they take a 2.5% creator fee? Or are you looking at Apple? And so what they're doing is they're looking at Apple. Of course, we know this. And Apple has shareholders. Apple has a board of directors. Apple has executives. Apple is paying devs $250,000, $300,000 a year. They have to charge exorbitant amount of fees to recoup their investment for these adventures they're going on. If you look at their 10K, and see how much they physically spent in their metaverse gaming, it's astronomical. And so these other companies like myself and Undead Blocks and these other games, we can be very nimble. We can listen to our community. We can do things cheaply, and not cheaply as in like not deliver a good product, but we don't have a lot of those legacy expenses. We don't offer a 401k. We don't offer a health insurance. We're just trying to build something special for players and gamers. And so that's why we're able to do this and able to do it so quickly, because we don't have to answer to anybody. We only answer to our community.
That's
I like
great,
it,
man.
Grant.
If anyone has any other questions, I have one. So I want to take a step back into the actual game, and and we're talking about weapons here. But how does weapon fairness work? And we talked about it before we got on, and you might have mentioned it before, but just for those who don't know, as well as for ourselves, the fairness of weapons. So if you bought any particular pack, what's required to have those weapons to upgrade or up to be comparable to a higher pack?
It's a really good question. And what we can't do is we can't sell weapons. People buy the weapons and then we nerf that weapon. And everybody says, hold on, like I bought that weapon expecting this performance and now you nerfed it. So that's why we're not releasing anything right now in terms of, specific hit points for some of these weapons, because we have about 20 weapons that we're going to have in this game. Mm-hmm. We have given people an idea. We'll tell people the F1 is, more powerful than the AK. It is. The AK is more powerful than the MP5. It is. But we can't lock ourselves into physical numbers because we have so many other weapons to parameterize and actually make sure that they're working as intended. So I can tell you that it is going to be better for each, but I can't give you like the hit point difference, per example. Sure. And so we're just letting the market decide that for now. That's why when we minted, we didn't have a cap on the amount of weapons. Like we have 2,500. We didn't do 625 a piece. We said, you mint whatever you think you want, because this is your story. This is your game. Like you choose your own ending kind of thing. And so we haven't committed to those hit points, but when people ask me and they have specific questions, I can give them to them. For example, like a sniper is pretty much relevant in a zombie shooter, because when there's hundreds of zombies at your doorstep, you're just not going to be no-scoping. Like we get that. That's something that's more used for like Call of Duty. So the sniper you would think would not be as expensive as something like the F1, which is our most powerful assault rifle. So more to come on the specifics, but we are going to make it fair, and we're going to have that out at least a month before full game, so people can make their decisions if they've purchased a pack. Maybe they want to swap for a different pack on OpenSea. They'll be able to choose. But we are telling people, when they ask us specific questions about weapons, we do give them general answers, but it's just so hard to quantify. One other thing that's really hard to quantify is how much can you physically make from this game? My answer is I don't know how good of a player you are. I don't know how many hours you're playing, if you're taking days off. So it is very hard to answer that question. That's why we've been giving a range. You can earn anywhere from $400 to $10,000 a year playing this game. Depends on how good you are. Depends on how much time you want to physically put in.
Interesting. You said something a moment ago about what the heck was it? It was about
weapons?
Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah, it was about the NFTs and expectations, and I was. It's interesting to me because I think that across the board now, at least those that are using playable games, like whether it's Pegaxi, whether it's Axie, I don't think there's an expectation for when you purchase something for it to maintain that same playability. So, and I don't think there's really a way to do that long term, because I think game developers have to retain the ability to say, hey, we have to nerf stuff. That's just the nature of development. We don't know, as we add more stuff, we don't know how those things will continue to play within the ecosystem. Is that, I mean, that's interesting. So do you feel like that you kind of have to hold true to whatever a weapon does in the beginning? It must always do that?
We would like to hold true as much as we can within reason. Like if we noticed quickly that like the AK was just absolutely dominating and nobody else is using anything but an AK, and you're seeing on OpenSea everybody's plowing into AKs, like we got to make a change. And so that's why we're not rushing this. We are going through and physically comparing each weapon against each other. For example, the wave gun, which is like the ray gun from COD Zombies, like that is going to be our most overpowered weapon. And so we have to make sure that it can hold itself to that standard. But you're absolutely right. As we add more weapons, other things become less powerful, and player can behavior will also change. Like we can see all the data. Like what's interesting, if you notice, like when I've been streaming this, it's hard to find a pack right now on OpenSea with Reload Root Beer. Why? Because Reload Root Beer has been the most prevalent perk that you can see that I use, because I'm never dying. So I'm using the Reload Root Beer and people are like, whoa, like this is really a fast reload. I'm going to grab that pack. And they haven't really seen the Dr. Helper or the Macho Do. So those packs really haven't had that increase in price or sales volume. So what I do, I realize has, weight and clout for these people. And so that's why I'm trying to tell them, our holders, our investors, give us time to fully list the total details of the parameterization, and then you will be able to make pivots to your weapon strategy if you so choose. When we speak to these big guilds and they want to buy 250 weapons, they're not just going to write us a check. They ask us these questions. How do the weapons that you have right now in the Genesis compare to the future weapons you're going to be offering? And so I have to give them that answer is, we don't know. We're trying our best to parameterize and give you assessments, but that's the fun of this, is we don't know. Like we're giving you an access point to this game so you can earn, but once it goes live, that's where you're really going to see these trends developing.
I'm curious, will you at some point, will you guys do some nods or odes to movies and games, like one of the great zombie movies that I like, a funny one, Shaun of the Dead. One of their top weapons was a Winchester model, 1866. They called Yellow Boy. So with things like that, will we see things like that show up in the game?
Oh, I maybe not the Winchester, but absolutely, I'd love to. I mean, I would love to just make nods even to, Negan's Lucille. Like we're putting in the bat. We have the bat weapon, and so we've got the needles, and we're definitely going to be making references to pop culture in these other movies and games that came before us. Like we have a couple SpongeBob voice lines in, actually, because people just think SpongeBob's funny as fuck. So we just put them in there. We're just like, why not? Like right now, there's a challenge on my Twitter that I'm saying, if you guys can come up with like the wittiest crypto voice line you could think of, I'll give you early access to beta, and we'll put the voice line in the game. We'll just have our actors read it, and you should hear these actors, these voice actors, when we contract them, we give them their stuff, they're like, what the fuck is this? Like I've never said this before. Like the first time the guy said to me, like, oh, rugged again, I'm like, no, it's rugged, like the past version of rugged, like to be rugged. And he's like, rugged. He's like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, just say it. Like you don't have to know, just say it. You're the professional. Like
do a job.
Yeah, he's just do your job. When you pull up to some of the weapons that you don't have XP, it's like, need more exit liquidity. And the guy like looks at us and he's like, why am I saying this? Like, I have no idea what this means. And I'm like, you just
like the next Birdie Madoff, but Web3 NFT gaming version.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's not that. It's just a game. Just
Bulls, Bears, Battlestar Galactica. We got a little Office reference in there, and just like, I mean, our creative genius is everywhere on this shit. And
awesome.
We just want to make it fun, because I'll be completely honest. Games that are fun people don't even care how much they're earning. People have been gaming for fun for years. Like if we can get that crowd that is just playing it for the love of the game and they want to support a crypto project and they're like, wow, I identify with this game. I don't care how much I make. I just want to hold some weapons and play and shoot the shit in with my friends. And on a weekend, we're all in the chat and squads mode and some of the clips go viral with the voice lines. That's what we want. We're not trying to be a game where people just show up and game the system. It's pretty almost impossible for people to game the system the way it's played because of the fact we're capping the amount of cash you can earn at a specific day. It's just, for our perspective, we realize if this game's not fun, we are dead. You will never hear from me again, and we will do everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen.
It's great to hear, man. But I guess the ultimate question of the day is, what inspired the name Undead Blocks? Why Undead Blocks?
Why Unblock Deads?
Why Unblock Dead?
Why is this happening? I'm sorry, guys.
No, you got it right that time.
All right, cool.
Well, this really started as a GameFi project, and so it was unfortunate we picked our name Undead Blocks. Like we saw Undead Apes was around the same time. We're like, oh shit, like we're just getting stuck with all the other undeads. But we really liked it because of the blocks, because of the blockchain aspect of it, of the fact that we are going to be like a GameFi project. And when we release our sequel and it's called Undead Blocks Block Ops, like you didn't hear that from me, but I'm sure that wouldn't go over well with Activision. But we were a GameFi project, and what we've turned into is a vendetta against the traditional gaming model. I actually call it the gaming brothel in our Discord, where you pay, and you get fucked. And raise the statistics guy, I'll give you one. $72 billion was earned in games from just the in-game purchases in 2020. How much of that equity was realized by the purchasers of those games? It wasn't every DLC pack you have to buy, every skin you buy on Fortnite, or every CSGO skin you want to purchase. Really hard to liquidate them unless if you go through something like a black market. You have to sell your private information, and those days are over. So that's really what inspired Undead Blocks, was that blockchain technology, just having the ability to have Undead as a token. But we've morphed into a vendetta against a traditional gaming model where you're going to be able to own and buy, sell, and trade everything that you acquire in this game, whether it's weapon skins, character skins, loot boxes. You're going to be able to own it all, and then the market will decide the value of it. So
right, beautiful. Yeah, man, it sounds great, and I'm pretty sure everyone's excited about it for the full game launch. And I had a question, taking a couple steps back here, from maps. So one of them was, will we see different maps? And that was confirmed. There's going to be a mall that you mentioned. But are there going to be NFT maps? Like, what's the future or long-term vision as far as other NFTs that are going to be within, I guess, the universe of this particular game? Are you gonna? Is it just at guns, or?
That's a great question. We're also going to add characters, like weapon characters, and so those characters, if you acquire them, will give you specific traits, whether it's run faster, or we have like someone that's like a marksman. I don't know if in this loop you'll see, but we have in our UI you'll see like regular skins, which is our core 4. Then we have legendary, we have epic skins, and so these will all be characters in the game, whether they're antagonists or people that show up. I might be one. Hell, we might even make Ray one. Like, we don't know. It's just we want to add as much fun as we can. Like how with Fortnite they did the NFL launch, and they added like the NFL skins, and they had like Travis Scott come on for a concert. We want to do that kind of stuff. We want to make this as fun as hell. And yeah, there are going to be those skins. We're also looking into the dances that you can purchase. And so then the dances will be, you can buy, sell, trade those dances, either on OpenSea through, like, what I'd like to see, and don't hold me to this specific format, but when we do release character skins, I'd like to have it so that you have a character, you have a rarity trait based on the skin that, not the skin. Sorry, the dance that they have, as well as what they do. Like, are they a sharpshooter? Are they a whoever? And just have these different profiles, and then maybe we could do more of like a profile picture NFT collection, but it's actually playable in game and it makes yourself stronger. So that is something we would like to do, but we're really focusing on weapons first. I think weapons as a NFT is such a new concept, especially in play to earn. You're looking at land or you're looking at pixies, but not a lot of games where you're acquiring actual weaponry. So really excited to be one of the first movers in this space to actually have you own your weapons. Think about an electrician. They go out and they are on a job, they have a truck, they have tools, they own all that. When they're done with it, they can sell it. They can sell it to the next person. We want that to happen. We want you to be able to sell your weaponry. We want you to be able to actually physically take tangible value of these assets in the game. And it's really going to help us with our sustainable model to continue offering those stable coin payouts for players.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so Ron Mega's question too. So are there going to be any land NFTs? And to my question that I asked also was, or in addition to this, is there ever going to be a point where anyone could build a map and then have people play on it? Is there going to be any type of building, or are these maps already going to be created and then, I guess, released over time?
We would love to get there. I think it's just hard because we have Kevru Games that is designing the maps for us. When you think about how decentralized we can get, so many people want a decentralized, autonomous, anonymous organization, and yet they're all flocking to projects with doxed founders and blue chip backing. And so we definitely want to get there to the point where we could have individuals making maps for us, and then our players play on the maps. We'd love that. But do consider, we have to make sure that there are no glitch spots in these maps. If there's even one, since everyone's playing for actual money, they will all flock to it. It will reduce the fun of the game. We can't have hide spots. Like, that's why it's taking a long time to actually develop the maps themselves, is because we are eliminating all of those spots to the point where it is just who is the best FPS player out there, who's the best strategic player. But we'd love to get to the point where our community is giving us feedback on the maps. That's why we're offering map votes in the future after the mall map, and we're going to do a Wild West map too, where it's going to be like saloons and you're walking around. It's going to be super cool. So
nice.
But again, more storefronts, more ability to advertise. Once we're done with those maps and we're locked and loaded, we're going to open up the community and say, where do you want us to take this game next? And then everyone that's either holding the tokens or the NFTs, they're going to be able to make those decisions for us, and then we work with our design studio to whip that up for them. So that's how we see this. We're really excited about that. I want to add as much utility to those token holders in terms of like having a DAO as possible. It's just very hard when you have a partner that's involved here with Kevru who, they physically can and cannot do things and put things in the map. And it's all about, like, we have to pay them. Like, the people in a DAO aren't paying. Maybe we could set up a fund, but it's centralized right now. We get that and we own it, but we're trying to wean ourselves off of it as much as we can.
Nice.
There is one question I do want to address. The guy says, do we know the spec? The footage seems choppy. It's just because we're streaming it. The footage is smooth. Ray can attest. Like, it's nice. Like, I run it on a TI 3080. It is very smooth.
Yep.
Definitely smooth. Do you have specs for it though? And what engine is it on?
So if you're running Valorant, you're going to be good. It's on Unity. It's built on Unity platform. If you have like an i5, i6 core processor, you're good. As like actual physical every spec, I don't have that yet. But if you're running an i5, i6, like an old gaming laptop, you're going to be good. I run like a TI 3080. It looks just the same as something like an old Omen laptop. So once we have those specs, we're going to release them to the public, but we're still optimizing because we're doing it on PC and Mac, and we're building them in conjunction with each other. So PC is a little bit further ahead than Mac, but we realized that 80% of our players, we did a survey basically on PC anyway, which has been good for us. But we're going to have both fully functional for our full game in July. But as soon as I have the full specs, I'll release them to the public. Just can't really commit to it because we're still optimizing.
Nice.
Yeah. Shout out to Rob Mega once again with another great comment. This may be the first crypto game Rome can play together and hang out. I'm with you, Rob. I'm actually liking this game, so I think I'm gonna have to jump out there with you, brother. And then Gris, once again, they can make this PvP and PvE. You get land-based build. For me, the human mind is the most complex thing in the universe. Nothing beats playing against other human minds. Back at you, Ray.
I love that. I mean, we'd love to do land. I'll be completely honest with you. What I wanted to originally do was a big buck hunter shooter where you're walking around first person, you shoot deer, you collect the deer, and then you have landowners where you could, stake a claim to be whether it's like someone that owns a saloon or a hotel or whatever in this metaverse. We ended up settling on zombies because it was just a lot easier to dev it up. But I love the idea of having that land in there. Maybe we could do land where very tiny percentage of kills acquired on that land is sent back to the landowner. Lots of different stuff we can do, but we're just focusing on the kill to earn line for now. Like, we're trying to dominate play to earn for the next decade. So any ideas you guys have, send them our way, and we can absolutely try to either get them in or think about them for how we move forward. But I love that idea, to be honest.
I like where your head's at, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing that this is a project that isn't really or hasn't blown up yet in the same way as other projects, and strictly because you're not doing it the same way, you're coming from a different angle, and the cultural relevance is there, right? If from that checks off one box for me, and then also the potential of it, the exploitations of earnings and extraction of value. Like it's all around a wholesome project, and I don't see why I'm not going to play it while I'm waiting for all these other games that are coming out. But yeah, definitely, our community members could definitely get into the beta. That would be awesome. And then you send us whatever you're able to just allow, and we'll distribute them.
Yeah, it's just as simple as getting an email and sending you a copy with an activation code. I do want to touch on that, why we haven't blown up. And the reason why is because we don't actively seek out, to this point, we haven't seeked out the paid advertising, the influencers paying them $3,000 for a tweet, or, having these other platforms push us. Like, nobody's going to push you in this space unless if you have an edge. And so we just haven't been ready to that point. Like, the NFT drop was the first step, but now we're about to explode with the Undead token. And so when we do eventually release the beta to the public and the world finds out about this game, we do have a very good chance of going viral. And that's just not me talking shit. That's just me. I truly believe if you've ever considered play to earn, like, you look at some of our partners, they have 40,000 people that want to join their scholarship program. And now we're telling them you can try this game out for free. They're going to be sending mixtapes to these guilds and saying, look at how good I am at this. Put me on the payroll. I swear it's like the athlete mixtapes. Like, you're going to see it on YouTube. Like, you're going to look at the performance in some of our free modes, and they're going to want to get to the big leagues. Like, there's going to be a lot of hype for it, but we're doing things the right way, at least what we believe is the right way. We do not want to we want to forge relationships with people and partners that are going to invest in us as well as we invest in them. We chose our partners very wisely, Animoca obviously being our largest, and we love working with them, but everyone's going to hear about Undead blocks really soon. It's just part of the plan. We didn't want to overextend ourselves. We come at this as we want to be sustainable growth, continuing to grow instead of just having this huge spike and then falling off for the rest of the time. We're just
absolutely. That's the perfect perspective, because that's always a red flag to me when I look at projects, is the ones who start off with the advertising and the hype, as opposed to starting off with the product and letting the product speak for itself. The projects that I don't see doing a lot of advertising are the ones that are always more intriguing to me, because that means that they're looking for that slow, sustainable growth, like you said, not that boom bust action, which actually tends to destroy the project, not help it,
It does, because like, let's say we grow a community to 50,000 people right now, and 50,000 people are saying, where's the game? Where's the game? Can I have the beta? Like, we're not ready. That's why we're opening the beta to select testers that are early, and we want them to feel like they're a part of it, and we're compensating them for their time. Like, the game looks good.
Look at Axie.
Exactly.
Axie's a great game, but they didn't pump artificially. They pumped because they were the first to play to earn. So they had so much success so quick that it even hurt them, and they didn't pump it. So.
The more people involved, the more mouths to feed. Everybody has their own opinion. And so we want to get there. Obviously, we need to grow. We need to scale. We believe me, we know this. We could easily throw 200 grand right now at the solution and everybody hears about Undead blocks. It's just not the time to do that. And we don't even have a trailer. Like, so many people put out this huge, massive trailer. Even the Yacht Club did this. The trailer for the other side, you don't even know what their game's about. But boy, that trailer looks smooth. They had the doors in there.
It was clean.
It was clean. Everyone's really hyped, but nobody knows what the game's about, and that's fine. Like, they don't need to have it today. We get that, but we're just different. Like, we built the game first. We have a teaser trailer coming out shortly, but we didn't want to overhype anything, because with hype comes expectations, and we want to just continuously deliver on results and timelines more so than making people excited, because we know as we continue to deliver, the excitement will come. Like, believe me, we're very cognizant of the market we play in, and having that sustainable growth is something that a lot of investors and a lot of NFT people and just crypto people in general, they're trying to find, they're trying to crave. I believe our NFTs are bear market proof. Yeah, you're not going to see the 4, 5, 6x right away, but if you're cash flowing the asset and you're getting paid every single day in a currency that is stable, why would you ever sell it? The only reason you ever sell it is to try to acquire another asset where you're going to have more of a return for a similar risk portfolio. And when that does happen, these other games are going to come out. We will be ready for them. We will be able to ramp up our earnings, but start small, grow, pivot, see what other play to earn games are doing, and learn from them.
Yeah, man, it's amazing, and I'm just loving that there's a skill based play to earn style, because the whole space has been shifting into that skilled play to earn model instead of just this farming, clicking mindlessly, and then just like buying all the assets to just rent them out to then for other people to do the same thing. And there are leaderboards and incentives for these leaderboards, but it wasn't the main focus because everyone's attention was on mass acquiring of assets to just rent out to for the APRs or the APYs. And it's just nice to see that there's a project that you can't really treat as every other project that's learning off of their own mistakes in the long run, even though it's only been like a handful of years, not even. And it's just
anyone that says they're an expert is lying.
Right.
Yeah, nobody hasn't figured it out. Let's always be clear about that, right?
Like, look at the Axie changes. They announced the changes, and everybody was upset. But they thought about it, and so I don't know if they're considering making changes. There's nobody experts. People are doing the best they can. I don't know if this is true, but I heard Pegaxie was making changes, and then people hated them so much they said, "We apologize. We're going to go back to the drawing board and try again." Like I don't know how true that is, but that's just what accurate. I'm seeing. And so the leaders in the space are all learning together. Like I mean, how I remember the days when people looked at the Apple. The Square iPod and thought that was the future and that's where they could stop. You know, those things are now relics. Like everyone is learning, continuously improving. If you have organizations that realize this and know when to pivot, when to move off of good ideas and when to basically go all in on good ideas, I think that's how you're going to find winners. And that's why so many people ask us, why not mobile right now? I'll tell you why. It's because there are thousands of competitors in mobile. We have about a handful, maybe even a dozen that are coming down the line for FPS. And so if we can become a giant and a huge monolith in the FPS space, then we can start branching out from there. But if we make this game good, fellas, I swear to you, all of these players that are spending 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day on COD, on Val, on Overwatch, Halo, and they're not earning a fucking dime, they're going to say, holy shit, like this game is for me. I finally found a play to earn game that identifies with what I do every single day for free. And that's who we want.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's a meta ops on Fractal for Solana, right? So we're jumping networks here, but just to talk about not competition, but FPSs that have been or are in development. So Gala Games ecosystem, they had one that was shut down by a vote that was for node owners, and I don't know what the deal is now, if it's continuing to be built out, but it was shut down as one of the games in the ecosystem there. And then on Solana, you have the like meta ops where it's more of like a Halo-esque type of first-person shooter. And then there's also one that came up recently that I heard that it's like more of a betting type of first-person shooter where you put in $1 and then you're gonna win the pool. So every person you kill is $1 you earn, but you have to put up some money in order to play the round. So it's pretty interesting how there's a lot of even within the same genre or the little distinctions between the genres of FPS. There's incentivization that's happening in different ways, and I think it's genius. But by far, if you're in the space and you spread yourself out to learn what's going on, it's not that hard that you'll know who's really ahead of what's going on, and depending on the team and all these other things that you might want to look at before getting into a project. But
completely agree, and it's good you touched on that. I want to touch on Big Time. I see someone commented about Big Time. Big Time's another one. Like they're an RPG and their game looks good, and if you look at their characters, they look a lot like Fortnite, but not a lot of gameplay footage, doesn't say when the beta is going to be ready. So, they're taking a similar route of these other games where they raise token, they raise NFTs, and we get that. That's fine. That's the playable model right now for pretty much everybody, but Undead blocks, and it'll be interesting to see how they develop. I look at Shrapnel. People sent Shrapnel across my desk a lot this week because they finally released their white paper. 20% of all of their tokens are going just to the seed round alone. That's high. Undead blocks raised pretty much 4% is what our cap table is at before we launch our token to the public. They're doing 20% just for seed alone, and they've got a top tier team, but I think it's going to take 2, 3, 4 years to build that game. Meanwhile, we're offering players the ability to continue playing and earning every single day starting in July. And that's going to resonate with a lot of people because it's hard to build a game as it is, but it's even almost harder to build a community that trusts you and believes you, especially in these days where people expect everything right away. It's very hard to keep them happy. And so it'll be interesting to see how they work also. We know that there are others coming, but growing up, I was a COD guy, but I loved Halo. I played Halo. I played Resident Evil. I also played Gears of War. Like, it's not like you just play one game and that's it. You're done. Like, I truly believe in the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to have that portfolio of games that you play. I'm a big Madden player. I play a lot of NFL Blitz with some of my friends. We just, fire it back to a time and NFL Blitz was 98, 99, but that fun and addicting gameplay loop. And It's just a great game to play. So you just have to put something out there that is fun, because if it's not fun, you're dead. It doesn't matter how many features you have. If it's over confusing, you look at Madden right now, it's a dying franchise because they haven't updated their game. It's not fun for people to play anymore. They just update the player statistics. So lots of different ways that we could pivot, but I really like our position because, like you guys said, Axie was the first, and I think Undead Blocks being the first AAA FPS shooter will resonate with a lot of people.
Absolutely. You want to talk on that comment, Bonafide?
No, I just put it up there.
Okay, cool.
People read. I'll read it right quick. What is so weird is when you love a game, it doesn't feel like burning money. That's what makes NFT gaming so huge. We spend hundreds on skins and love it when we love the game. After, not so much. Yeah, that just goes back to, what we've always been talking about here on the channel with all the people in this community, as far as everybody investing all this time into gaming and then never getting anything back. Well, now, soon somebody's going to crack the code. Hopefully it's Undead Blocks, where you're going to actually be able to, be compensated for the time you're putting in there.
So with like Undead Blocks, let's say you unlock a really rare skin, either through a challenge or a loot box, or you purchase it. If you go to sell your weapon, people might say, okay, I want that skin. Now you can sell to them. So you got that equity back. Whether that's in Ethereum on OpenSea or, you sell it for Z-Bucks, whatever you want to do. You're going to have the ability to own that asset. So now you're just, in the spur of the moment, if you got that skin and you loved it, you swipe the credit card, there's just no way to exit that position. I don't know how the gaming industry has hoodwinked and deceived everybody into believing you shouldn't own your skins, you shouldn't own your DLC passes and the stuff, because what's to stop them from, just taking the game offline, putting on a whole nother game and making you reinvest in all the skins and the characters. It's an unsustainable model in my perspective. People are going to get fed up with it. They're going to find out sooner rather than later that they're just being deceived. And a lot of people do love it. There are going to be people that will say Undead Blocks is a sham because I don't need to play money from a video game. I just want to play for entertainment. I totally get that, but I don't play fantasy football for free. Like, I am a Bills fan. I pretty much only watch Bills games for free, but I'm not watching any other NFL game if I don't have a little bit of action on it. That's just who I am. And there's a lot of people that are going to say that video games should only be free, and not free. You shouldn't be able to earn from them. And they're just for entertainment and engagement purposes. I happen to disagree, but that's why there are 7 billion people on the earth, because there's going to be a lot of people like us that believe you should be able to be compensated for your time and the sweat equity you put into things.
Yeah, for sure. And it really comes down to like how far deep you want to get into decentralization of building out a game, because there's a lot of games who are pushing the envelopes and just trying to just become that of what is promised, more or less, or what's in these white papers, and really trying to trailblaze what it ultimately will be, I guess, but we just don't know the time frame for that, and then the development process. It's going to take much longer. But then you have like on the spectrum of fully decentralized to fully centralized, you have like somewhere in front of the middle point, you have what majority of what you're going to be doing is decentralized, and there's that. You'll get used to, just like in life when you do things more on your own, that independence and self-custodying of assets and money, and it's just like the learning curve. I just think it's great, and I'm just happy for a lot of people who are going to be on that journey for when they play the games that they love to play, and then just get indoctrinated more or less into the whole space with learning how the ins and outs work, whether it's on Web3 applications or websites or just from the game itself. Like it's a beautiful thing. And I don't know if you guys hear me.
Ray, I completely agree with you. I
cool.
think we're foraying into an interesting conversation, because then you're coming back to human behavior. And so when you see some of these games, I mean, I will have to mention the P word. I have to go with Pixelmon, and you raise $75 million straight up, and that human element to that, it changes who you are as an individual. And what I will say is the good thing about Undead Blocks is all of us that are on the team, myself, Isaac, I didn't even introduce Kane or Michael. We've all done very well in our careers, and we're not looking for a quick payday. Like, it's something where we are trying to build legacies together. Like Michael Branson is our director of analytics. This guy was managing a $6 billion risk management portfolio for AXA, which is a large insurance company based out of France. Kane, he was at Google for 6 years. He was finished second in the Google Ads competition in the UK, decided I want to work in Web3. So all of us are coming from this. We don't need the money. We are doing this because this is fun. I've had more fucking fun working on Undead blocks for the last 9 months than I have pretty much the last 10 years working in high finance. Like, this is a blast. I never want to do anything else. And so when it's fun for people, like, it becomes their passion project. I think you can really see it. I think, someone like Llamaverse, he's very popular, and you just look at the way he, tweets and posts videos. He's just loving life. And I think people really appreciate that energy. It's always tough to tell what's behind the scenes with individuals. Obviously, you can't really judge their motives, but I think from our perspective, we are just, all of us, we've all been friends, and we're just trying to build something special here. We're not doing it just because, it's a cash grab and out. Like, we just sold $2.5 million in NFTs. We didn't keep a dime. I didn't keep a dollar of that. We just put that all in the treasury, use it, some of it to pay Keveru, some of it's going to go to the stable reward. But you got to look, and for those on the call, you got to look at some of these other projects and say, what are they doing with all this money? So like Moonbirds, congrats to them. They raised $75 million yesterday. What are they physically going to do with it? Show me what you're going to do with it. Even the Yacht Club, the $450 million play to earn game. What do you need to build with all that money? Like, that's a lot of money. Like, what are you physically spending that money on? It'll be interesting to see in the next 2, 3, 5 years what comes of that investment. I don't know. Surely they can find ways to use that money in a positive manner, but that's a lot. Like, that changes people. Once you physically have that in your account, it definitely changes who you are as an individual. So I'm just curious to see what happens.
Without a doubt, there's a lot of people coming in with the intelligence and the experience of doing everything but finding that financial success. They've had the success in more or less everything else and have those skills. And I'm not talking in absolutes, but I totally agree with you that people change real quick when they found that quick success based off of all the years of the skills that they've been honing and working on. So it really says a lot about a team and a project that stay the course no matter what happens. But it's also important that they're doxed and everyone knows about where they came from, because that just helps along with people's confidence as far as investors or community members and gamers alike. So yeah, it's amazing, man. And I did have a lingering question here. What's the potential for VR? So, having your headset on, shooting zombies, like, is that going to be a thing? There's no timelines for sure, but in the future,
I would love to do VR. I would love it. I mean, that would be a lot of broken televisions, windows. I would love to get into VR. We spoke to a couple individuals at PlayStation that have worked with, Oculus, and they told us it would be 2-3 years minimum if we wanted to explore it, invest heavy resources into it. And so right now it's not on our imminent plans, but I would love to even do, like a PvP versus Z. That's where I see the sequel going, where you're now zombies can come at you, but you're also playing like a Call of Duty game. That's something that really has not been put out there, where it is, a zombie shooter, but you're still playing against other people. Like, these other factions of people are now like playing for these Z-Bucks and trying to steal Z-Bucks from each other. I would love to have that VR in the sequel, where you're physically walking around with another person in the room and you're trying to kill each other. Like, that would be dope. But I still think we're a little far away from that. I really do. But the more that we can make advancements in VR, it just changes the way that video gaming is consumed. Like, you think about, we went from, Atari, where you're just moving a little joystick. Then you got PlayStation, pretty much changed the game, Xbox, and now we get into VR, where you're physically walking around in this metaverse. Think about it from an advertising perspective too. If you're walking around in the metaverse, you can physically enter stores, maybe buy goods and services from that specific store that has licensed out the ad space in the map. I mean, that would be a really deadly combo. So I love where their head's at. I just think we're probably a couple years away from that, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah, I expect it to be that. But yeah, that theme or narrative that every game's metaverse that you jump into, whether completely decentralized or semi or just like 0.25%, there's going to be those options and on-ramps and off-ramps and I guess businesses from the traditional world, as well as newly created ones in the Web3 space that you're going to just be able to transact with and buy from that particular game, because everyone's going to want your attention to stay and be only in that one game. And, if you're going to be spread out across different games, you do what you got to do, just like these scholars are going to be playing more than one game. But if you're going to be able to earn and purchase from within games, it's just like a no-brainer for just mass adoption to just slowly, creep its way up until it's just a thing that, it was always meant to be. So, but I did have a comment, or was it a question? I don't remember now. yeah, we're coming up on an hour. We just hit an hour 30. Let me know if community you got any more questions, but if not, like I really appreciate your time, Grant, on a Sunday to come here and hang out with us.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I would love to do this again sometime, and thanks for having me. Like, it's a really good conversation, and I'm glad that your community got an opportunity to learn about Unblock's Dead. And we were just looking forward to continuing to building. So if you guys don't know, we're on OpenSea. You're also going to be seeing from our Twitter and our Discord, we're going to be launching the date of the Undead token, which is going to be on a centralized exchange as well as Uniswap. So we're about a couple days away from announcing that. So check us out in Discord. Go to Twitter, Undead Blocks. You can find more information there. But yeah, it's been an absolute blast.
Hey,
Awesome.
Grant,
I
before
put
you,
the Discord link in the comments of this video.
Oh, yeah. Can I actually link a comment? Or maybe I can send it to you in a private chat and you can throw it up.
Cool. Yeah.
Yep.
before you, I don't know if you were going to hang out or if you're going to take off, Grant, but before you do either, this question has come up a couple of times in the chat, and I don't think we covered it. So Dee Dee's coming again with a flash grind question. How is the development of different zombies going along? Will we have many different zombies when the game launches? A couple of different people have asked,
Sure.
as far as like how many zombies are you guys developing?
It's going to be good. There's actually going to be 9 different variations. There's 3 basic zombies, and each one has 3 different variations. It's a football player, a businessman, and a cop. And they're all in this neighborhood in the first map. So one of the football players actually has like a football's morphed into his head. Like it's very weird.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's basically what's taking the most amount of time is the animations themselves, making sure that when you shoot their arm blows off, stuff like that. So we are using the zombies in there right now. They're actually a placeholder. You're not going to see those in the game. But we're going to have different zombies for each map. Obviously, we're going to have like a mall cop when we do the mall map. Maybe we have some like cafeteria workers, stuff like that. So yeah, more to come. We're probably, I'd say maybe a month, 2 months away from actually highlighting and showing those to the public. But yeah, they'll be in the full game for sure before we fully go live.
And shout out to the Undead Blocks community. I tweeted you guys out, and I've been getting a lot of engagement while we've been talking. So and I think you have some people that are here watching the chat as well and asking some of these questions. So shout out to that community. You guys seem like you're a strong community. Looks like you guys are going places.
For sure.
We care about our community. It's tiny right now, but it's strong, and we're just going to continue scaling up because once people find out this gameplay, they're going to resonate with. So many people, love playing COD Zombies, Resident Evil, Left 4 Dead as a kid, and this is going to take them back to that time when they really thought gaming was fun. The fact that you can play and have the headsets on, yeah, you definitely should do a roam night where you guys are all on. You got your weapon NFTs, you're playing. You're going to see how high you can get on a leaderboard. So a lot of different playability mechanics for whether it's professionals or people that are casual or anywhere in between. We're going to try to cater to everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've got a follow-up question from all the different types of zombies. Do you picture, or is there like a raid boss type zombie?
That's the last piece of the puzzle is the bosses like to do every 5 rounds or 3 rounds. Still working on those, but yeah, we'd like to get. I don't think those will be in for season 1. It'll just feel like Nocturno 10 from like the OG COD Zombies, but for season 2, yeah, for sure. It's just giving them that special ability. The zombies we have right now, they can attack you. They have like spears and butcher knives and stuff. So we're gonna have that, but actually like those special abilities take so long to fully develop. So I would anticipate having them in by season 2, but for season 1, it'll just be like the zombies coming at you, and they come at different speeds. They'll have the weapons, so it'll still be fun.
Your mic's muted, Ray.
Yeah, I put it on mute because I didn't want to know if feedback comes in. But thanks. But yeah, it sounds great, Grant. We always invite our guests to stay the length of when we cover different games, but by all means, let us know, or you can just jump out whenever you need. And we're going to move on here with the rest of our weekly show.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'll hang out for about 20 minutes. I do have another call at 3, but okay. Eastern. So it's been a pleasure, guys. I definitely want to stay on, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, you're welcome to come back anytime. You're in the green room, and for any major updates, we'll be following along. But yeah, we can always have you back in to talk about more information as it comes.
Absolutely. It's been great having you, and definitely feel free to pop in regardless of what the content is in the future.
Thanks, Whitticus. Thanks, guys.
For sure.
Thank you, bro.
Well, what else is happening in the metaverse? We got zombies popping and slapping some heads. That's always great. But any other games that are coming out? Was there? Are we talking Illuvium? We're talking Star Atlas? What's next?
I think I'll go ahead and what you got, Jesse?
Oh, I was just going to say that I had hoped to have prepared some notes and stuff for the last Miranda's AMA, which to me was a big one. And there was some really good stuff in there. I do have a clip that we can watch at some point here, which just shows a little bit from that. But I think that next weekend, we can actually do a good bulk of the show around some of the updates there because they are significant.
All right.
Mala has a lot of good news for us to go over here at some point here in the near future for sure. They had that AMA that just went down and it was really interesting.
Cool.
So I guess I'll go on into something I've been looking at here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see here. I'll go ahead and share.
I'm pretty sure Modified is talking about Ilio Trade's Imposters. So we have that. It's a pretty unique game as far as like the genres of the game, and it's Among Us is something that it's been inspired by, and Modified's pulling up now.
Right. So this is something I've been dealing with here in the background. So if you're following me on Twitter at InvestGeek or you're in our Discord, the Rome Discord, I've been sharing this over the course of about a month now, I think, as this has been developing. So this is the Imposters game that's coming out, and like we've been talking about here with Grant, the new model is to have your game already built before you start selling NFTs. So these guys built this game. Elio Trades, he's part of the Neo Tokyo organization, for those of you who haven't been following that. But this is his fourth NFT here, where he's basically creating these NFT communities. So I just lost my whole train of thought. Sorry.
Social deduction gaming is what he really touts the game to be as far as the genre, and he's really building off of that as far as the game being specifically unique in the Web3 gaming space, just like we have with the project we just finished talking about, Undead Blocks. It's a genre that everyone highly enjoys, but now in the Web3 space, I think it's just going to take off in its own right. So, yeah, the NFTs dropped. Maybe you could talk more on the NFTs. It was a pretty success.
Thanks for the assist there, Ray. So so basically the way it went down is if you were a NFT holder of the previous projects that he has been a part of, then you basically got whitelisted for an imposter. So the mint price for that whitelist was 0.69, I believe. And then they did the open sale for under an ETH. And now at the time of for today, the floor price is at 3 ETH. So you're talking about big gains, even from the reveal all the way to now that they have staking active. So that's what I was showing on the previous screen, was the blood that I've been accruing. And the blood I've been accruing for staking the imposters I have. So basically staking's already gone live, and what's happened with that is that now the number of NFTs for sale on OpenSea is down at 260. And that's 260 out of 10,420 total NFTs that are actually being listed for sale right now. So he's doing a great job with the project, and the game is looking to be fun. I spent several hours watching Among Us gameplay prior to getting involved with this project. So it's actually something to look into.
Yeah, we see the developers and creators of these new NFT gaming projects doing it more or less the right way now. Whether either you created a decentralized exchange and then built a game off of that, like DeFi Kingdoms, and then having a sound team that is really trying to build something that's legacy, right? That just lasts the test of time with constant iterations and patches. Or you have a game that's built that's playable first, just like we had with the Grant talking about Undead blocks, and then also LEO trades, where the game is already there, and then now you implement anything Web3, crypto, DeFi, and it's almost endless depending on who you have on your team. We need more devs in the space, but yeah, it's amazing that now we're going to be able to play games, and then I'd rather play a game and wait for the game to have all of these mechanisms or Web3, interoperability. Pick a fancy word and throw it in there. It would be great to have any asset you purchase as an NFT just playable in any other game, but it's highly unlikely it's going to just be that for the short to mid long term. But there are projects doing that, like I mentioned earlier, on the spectrum of DeFi and what is capable. Right, the copyright issues for a lot of these projects. We have a whole bunch of new projects coming out that are CCOs. Right, you might have heard CCO NFT, profile picture like projects, and all of them are able to work with each other, build metaverses, and have them all join in as 3D modeled avatars, so that you can just select if you have it in your wallet. And it's just like it's great to see that innovation, but it's speeding up to the point where it's leaving a lot of the mainstream population behind. So we need games that are just built, playable, and then introduction, like a soft introduction to tokens, right? The equivalent of stocks, because some people don't even understand what tokens are. And I just see it on the macro grand scale. There's a nice spectrum of games that everyone should be paying attention to, not just the ones that are hardcore, full blast DeFi, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts, because that's just not realistic, right? Like, your grandmother still needs to be able to understand certain things and operate certain things, just like in the grand scheme of crypto tokens, right? If we're talking, Bitcoin and Ethereum and anything DeFi related. So yeah, it's an amazing space, and that's Imposters by LEO Trades. It's been, these teams are building under the radar, not really publicizing or just marketing themselves in that way. But if you keep up with the team, they're sound financially and they're competent creators and builders. So it's best to just have, in my opinion, not financial advice, having your money in those corners with those projects in the space, no matter the network. You're kind of forced to learn here and jump to different networks depending on the team and where they set up shop. Because you might have, it's just, there's a lot going on.
You made a good point there, because I think that's what we're kind of pivoting to as far as the way the metaverse is moving right now. Is we're at a point where everybody was launching NFTs. They're dropping NFT projects. Hey, come buy my NFT. Get involved with our community. Now wait for us to build a game for several years. And now you're starting to have projects come out with the game already built, not hyping their project up, not wanting to explode really quick, not wanting to have the same problems that some of these mega giants have had, where they grew too fast too soon, and just kind of develop at a pace that's more sustainable. So we'll see how it plays out. It's looking interesting.
Yeah. A lot of projects have gotten away with not exactly even being honest about it. You've heard me say it time and time again. I'm excited about what Mirandus is doing now, but the truth is, the stuff that I was going to show today and what they talked about on the AMA is, if we go back exactly 1 year, the things they were telling us where they were last year is where they are now, confirmed where they are now. But they were telling us that's where they were last year, and they're going to have a playable game, playable alpha by the end of the year. And of course, that was never possible, but it was a capital raise. And I use that as an example because that's one of the biggest ones that I see in the industry, where they're doing that as a capital raise first. So it's refreshing to see some projects now, like our guest today, where they're like, hey, we're going to build it. We're going to build it and make the game, a playable game first, and then the other stuff layers on top of it.
Yep. I completely agree with that. And the reason why you're, like you said, it's a capital raise. They want that capital first, so then they can do these grand plans that they tell you about. But once they have the money, the incentive to build disappears. It's just, that's how it's going right now. And so even with something like LEO Trades, having that game built first, people don't want to wait. There's so many other things you can invest in your life. You don't want to have to wait a year, 2 years, 3 years. That's a long time. So many things change. And so over that time, people ask, and this is happening in our Discord too, where people will ask the same questions over and over again. They'll get the same answer, and eventually they will just stop asking and leave. And we never want that to happen. And so it is going to be prevalent that people are held responsible and accountable for the promises and the roadmaps. You can put out the prettiest roadmap in the world, but if you're not delivering on your timelines, it's very disappointing to see.
And that's very key. I don't know I haven't had a chance to look at your roadmap yet, but I know as far as like the projects in the space, you know, some of them have roadmaps. Some of them are very proud of the fact that they don't have roadmaps. And what's interesting is all of us being, you know, experienced gamers, we know that you can't really trust the roadmap of a game development team because, you know, they're usually always going to have to, you know, give themselves more time and buffer in there. But hopefully what we're going to see now with these games that are already built coming out is that they're going to actually be able to stick to their roadmaps. So when it comes to Imposters, they had a roadmap that they released probably about a month ago, and they've been sticking to it so far. So we have the week 2 is the staking where you're earning the blood token, which I already showed. Week 4, you're going to have a secondary NFT drop. So you're holding the first NFT, which is the Genesis Alien, and then you're going to be able to get a second NFT drop, which is going to be the UFO. So you have to claim your blood token and mint the UFO, but you'll have the ability to do so because you have the alien. Then week 6, they have pets coming out. So that's going to be the same thing where you're going to be able to go back, use the blood token from your alien, and go back and mint the pets. And then you're going to keep doing the same thing with materials coming out, the cosmetic chests coming out. During this time, you're going to be able to start playing the beta, and then they're going to have a land mint, which you're going to need the pet, the UFO, and the alien. You're going to have all 3 together, and then you're going to be able to mint the land. So the timeline is or the roadmap is locked in, and they've been following it pretty tight so far. And then the tokenomics are built in because you're being incentivized to hold on to that alien, hold on to the UFO, hold on to the pet. The blood token is only being dropped to the alien holders. So you're going to be incentivized to hold the blood so you can mint all these items so that you can get the land. So the gamification of all these series of events is already locked in. It's in the roadmap. You see what's being built ahead of time. And I think that has a lot to do with the way the floor is moving for the Imposters Project. What you got, Jesse?
I was going to say, and promise you, this is not shade on the project, but there's part of me that when I see that with that roadmap, it just kind of makes me chuckle because, like, was there any box not ticked for what an NFT? Like, we got the land sales, we got the pet, we got.
Oh no!
It's like,
right.
Well, you gotta think too, like
possible thing that you could NFT in a game.
Well, and you got to think too. I mean, Elio Trades is, you know, he's the founder of Neo Tokyo, right? So they're over there trying to build the Web3 Metaverse Illuminati over there, where they have, you know, Kongs, they have Bored Apes, they have all these guys basically in a room, and they're all bouncing ideas off of each other. So to think that he's not going to have every aspect of what we would consider cutting edge projects are doing, you know, involved in his project is, you know, I mean, obviously he's going to have all of that. So. Like I was listening to Grant, he was talking about basically selling skins and using that to incentivize the value or to help control the value of the token, right? Which is a third tier on the normal 2 token economic model that Axie had. Everybody copied that for a while, realized it was kind of bust, and now we're starting to see people add in skins. So that's basically what Elio's doing with Imposters. Is those materials and all those are going to be skins that are going to help you to earn. And similarly, what Undead blocks are doing. You're going to be able to, you know, you have the 2 tokens and you're going to be able to buy skins, and that's going to help keep the value of the token consistent, right? So you're seeing this all about the space. I think all the projects that are going to be coming out this year are going to be starting to add these kind of things in.
Well, what I want to see more of, and the reason I like what Grant is doing with Undead blocks is that pick a lane, make it a well-played game that people enjoy. Don't make it too complicated, and get it functional. You want to add some stuff, you want to put a top hat on and stuff later, that's great, but get it functional, because like with all the projects that are out there right now, it's like so many projects are trying to do so much. And the challenge that I have with that, when you come into an industry and you're trying to do so many firsts, what are the odds that you're going to reach that stage of success when there's so many variables in the mix? You know, and not to say that it can't happen. And this is all part of the development process. And like, Elio and Becker, they've all got great followings and they got rabid fans. And so that also helps to push things forward. But man, with all the projects and the grandeur that I see out there right now, I'm almost more excited to see some simple projects come to life and make it functional.
I completely
That's-
agree with that. And
yeah.
like for Elio Trades and Becker, like they have Neo Tokyo, they're looking at that floor. Now they're looking at Imposters floor and they're saying, okay, like what's the next thing? Like Undead Blocks is my life. Like I have nothing else going. Like I'm putting in myself and the other devs on our team are literally only focused on Undead Blocks. And so I think that is an advantage. Obviously, you know, it looks like Imposters is doing very well. So it seems like Elio Trades just must be made out of like Mountain Dew, or, you know, he must be on something that I wish I could get on. But, you know, putting yourself in all of these different areas at one time is hard. And so you're exactly right. Before I step out here, I just wanted to say like that I completely agree with you. It's you have to put all your eggs in one basket to start when you're building one of these things. Because if you put yourself in all these different areas and you want to be an innovator in so many different spaces, then you're just going to poke holes in your ship. Like you have to make sure it's functional. You can always build on top of it. But if people see it's functional and it's fun, then you can scale up. And that's what I think is going to be prevalent in more of these projects going forward. I mean, all the power to Elio, and that it looks like it's doing very well for them. Like I said, I need to get whatever they're on. I need to get some of it. So they're doing great. But that's why Undead Blocks, you're exactly right. We're just going to be building something that we know like people like to play. It's fun. There's a market out there. There's a high market cap of individuals we can market to and then go from there. Among Us is another one. So that game went viral and everyone and their mother was playing it. So I think they're absolutely banking on we can get these people that are playing this game to come transition. It's an easier transition for them than to create some third world MMORPG where it's very hard to understand who the characters are and what to build, because you have to get these people in Web3 to start.
The competition's lower as well because you don't have that World of Warcraft, Call of Duty mega giant sitting there in the space that everybody's locked in on. You know, Among Us was great, but a lot of the people who played it had issue with them not developing quick enough or them not having enough mods or et cetera, et cetera. And so there's a room there that I think he's targeting as far as kind of a genre where there's no giant and you don't really have new game genres invented that often. It's a very rare thing to see one. Among Us is a pretty amazing thing to happen.
I completely agree. Fellas, I'm going to take off. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm sure we'll do this again. Ray, Whitticus, Invest Geek, Fancy Hat. Love the Rome crowd. Appreciate you guys having me.
You're the man.
It's great.
Hey, it was a pleasure, Grant. Hell yeah.
Take care, man.
See you guys.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah. So we have the space. We're in it. You know, there's projects out there that we're scanning. You know, although Rome is geared towards more or less Star Atlas because of the structure of the guild, and the Mirandus as far as the two main guilds. You know, that's still true. We shall still hold true to that. But you know, in the grand scheme of things, the space is evolving. You know, nothing just is stagnant forever. So we have to do as Metaverse Nomads do: travel around and get out there and then bring some information that's worthwhile enough to the people that are in our guild. You know, like we do these shows, and how much can we only talk about one game that doesn't have anything playable yet? That's still in development. So it's only right to do that for our own health. I'd say financial and mental. Yeah.
Bonafide, I don't know if you got it, if you were finished or if you had more on that project, but I'm curious to know, like, what are you most excited about with that? What are you looking forward to with it?
So I think I've spoke on it before, but Elio Trades was actually my first NFT that I ever bought, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did very well on that. You know, like I like how Grant said, I think he's made out of Mountain Dew. The fact of the matter is that Elio's been very successful with all of his projects. So you know, Neo Tokyo is the latest before Imposters and one of the biggest out there, right? I mean, it's competing with Kongs, it's competing with Bored Apes, and it was kind of in a way developed by people from all of those communities. Elio was part of that community already, you know. So yeah, Imposters coming out, game already built to where you know you're already focused on that aspect, on the social deduction aspect of it, and then you know, building a metaverse on top of that. I think it's, you know, it bodes well.
Yeah, I know he's chuckling at that Nat's comment there.
Yeah, K-Nat cracks me up, man.
Yeah,
Because these are things that I actually have nightmares about. So it's very fun.
You know, the thing is and it's just the nature of industries when they develop. But I'm at that stage now where I've got so many different chefs telling me about this great meal they're putting together and all the courses. Like, I'm hungry. Who's got something? Who's going to feed me something right now? I want to eat now.
I think that's why the model has to change. Like that's what I was talking about with Grant, and it's like, okay, so if you don't have a game already built, I think people are going to start looking at you some kind of way, because we've had so many projects fail at this point or go into a development purgatory in a way,
right?
Where the updates aren't coming, where the things aren't moving. So we'll see. And then you got to realize as well, we're heading into a bear market, right? So everything's exciting. Back in 2017 when it was all about altcoins. They were all super exciting. Then we went into that bear market in 2018, and nobody cared about your DeFi project. Nobody cared about your altcoin anymore. And the projects that survived during that period that kept building are the axes of the 2020 bull run. You know what I mean? So that being the case, we're going into a bear market. I think you're going to see a similar thing. The guys who played Axie in the last bear market, all of them are doing very well. Not to dox you out there, Ray, but everybody's doing well who who's been in Axie for a long time. And I think at the same time, the people who are playing these games during this next bear market are going to do well for the next bull run.
For sure. Yeah, and the projects that are out that we've been invested in or involved in, they're all changing as well. So it's just like, I'll get into the Axie stuff because there's a lot of change that's happening that's subtle, but it speaks volumes. And I guess the people who have been in the space don't really know exactly where we're going, although there's great footage and trailers coming out of what was talked about as far as land. That's a whole topic that we'll get into, but I think what's next on the agenda is Star Atlas. Fancy, over to you.
Yeah, there was some interesting stuff this week. This ship was highlighted, the silhouette at least, and looked very cool. I thought it was an X-Fighter.
I thought it was an Inkblot.
Yeah, I do like how they do this. It's something that just rally the troops of excitement, out there, and then just waiting until the ship comes out. But again, like everything else, this can only happen so many times until you just stop looking at what ship is coming out next, because you have your fleet already composed as far as what you'll need, depending on your gameplay style. If you're a gamer, if you're just an investor, you're just gonna buy them, stake them, and then sell them when they're high. I guess like everyone has their own. But yeah, we got another one here.
Yeah, this was a bit blurrier. It could be the same one. Yeah, kind of has like the wings that come apart like that.
Kind of looks like, it's probably the same one.
I still think it is an X-Fighter though.
Confirmed X-Fighter by Fancy Hat, the AI.
And my guild member thought it also could be this at a different angle. They could be trying to like get perspective on us. Like
I could see that front end that's coming down, folding upwards and becoming straight. So now you have that X-wing fighter type of look, and it doesn't just stay down as we always seen pictures of that ship. So yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I can't really tell anything about this, but I'll be interested to see what that is. I reckon a fighter. This week, there was also a couple Binance articles about how to buy Atlas and Polis, even though they're not listed on the website yet.
I think that kind of goes back to what Jesse's been saying. They put their money in, and they're going to want to see a return. And now they're going to be promoting and advertising. So they're definitely working with Axie now at this point. That's good, and possibly, like you said, possibly not so good at the same time. We'll see.
Does anyone know this? I'm assuming, is this like, it's not really a blog. What is it? It's Binance. When did they do this? Trying to see. Oh, it's just unlisted under how to buy, which seems like a pretty big section. My question would be, does anyone know, do they do this? Is there a model? Meaning, like, do they just do this to get more content out? or is there a direct relationship with coins that at some point they intend to list? Have we seen a trend? Do we know if there's a relationship between the two?
I don't think so. Swagner was surprised when it was mentioned in the Foundation room.
Yeah.
So yeah, they could have like a stake perhaps now, and yeah,
Yeah.
it makes sense to publicize that.
See,
It would be interesting to see a listing in the past AXS that went up a lot when it did.
Right.
That was
See,
huge.
this would be awesome. I think it would be great because I think that speculation, total speculation. What would it do to the price of Atlas? Well, you expand the market and accessibility to Atlas, and because of any news,
Your sound's going out, Jess.
is it a little better now?
Yeah, you're better now.
Okay. So what I'm saying here is that a listing, as we know from Binance, boosts. It gives support to a token for sure. What would that look like? Complete speculation. I don't know. I think it could probably nearly double it from where it's at, get it back up around the 5 cent range, which is where I would love to see Star Atlas as a company create a target point where that's kind of the level of where they want to support it. The reason being, again, is that I don't want to be redundant here on the channel about how what some of the expectations were for what staking would be able to provide. But if you could at least get the token to 5 cents, I think that's a heck of a lot better towards reaching that expectation goal of even at least within a year and a half ROI on your investment. Granted, yes, there's market conditions, but show me something that is supporting the price of Polis and the price of Atlas. And if it's not going to happen within, certainly externally, a listing on Binance would give it some support.
Yeah, let's see how the DAO is doing this week. They're still doing user interface prototyping, building the blockchain. So doesn't look like there's much word yet, but that will be a great support, especially if that happens around like the same time as a Binance or Coinbase listing. That would be huge support for the token price, which has been lacking in recently.
It'd be one of those FOMO opportunities. Not financial advice, but it would definitely be one.
Right.
Yeah, there wasn't too much in this report this week. Not much new features apart from more cookie legal stuff. Yeah, another week closer. I think it would be a good idea if they had like a mark or they highlighted when things changed over the week, because it's just like a whole load of colors at the moment. It'd be good to see like what gets updated or pushed back.
Yeah. And I was just gonna make a note on like the often talk about tokens for any particular project. It could get repetitive, but it's only because there's focus on tokens, based off of what the project and the developers or the white papers and the tokenomics have told us already. What was going to happen, what time frame, nothing set in stone. But these things are wrapped around tokenomics. So any of these games, it's not like we want pump bags and FOMO, or we're not trying to FOMO bags, throw shade. It's just like it's a major part of the whole ecosystem and the longevity and success of this game, Star Atlas, right? Or Gala for the Galaverse, right? And for any other game, right? It's intertwined. So it's just like we're not. Of course, everyone wants the price to go up, but it needs to go to a place where it was told it was going to be, as far as projections or amounts and all these other things. So it's just like there's no working around not talking about a token's price, because it deals a direct relationship with the success of the project, and then the sentiment of community. Like there's so many things you can learn from just the tokens and the community itself. So
yeah, we also did get a picture of this Thimble Super Phoenix this week, I believe, from inside. I think it's the Super Phoenix at least, but
wow,
yeah,
It looks
looks like a whole
tree arrowy.
settlements. Yeah,
that's
very
beautiful,
nice.
man. I'm going to be living on a ship. That's it.
Well, when you think of something that size, I mean, it's even potentially dwarfs the smallest of spaceports. So does that mean then you basically have a floating city in space with its own fully functioning economy? We haven't even gotten to that point yet where we talk about, buildings on land. They do have like mining operations and things like that. But when we get to the point where you can actually have an established business, a cantina or whatever, you would imagine that a ship like this with that much space and buildings that you could basically, if a guild owned this ship, you could establish an entire city and an economy around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Sweet.
awesome. It'd be fun if you had a quest on like a big Titan ship like that, but then it started like moving away from you. You had to like wait till it decided to come back.
Right. Or you're in a, because you know how different factions and the different all the way down to the regions can have their own tax rates and things like that. And you're camped out. It's like, hey, we don't like the taxes here. We're moving. Could work.
Yeah, man. So is that it for Star Atlas? We can move on to.
Yeah, I got a couple things for Illuvium. I
Cool.
just wanted to highlight this cool little clip about one of their purple snails that looks really overpowered. So
That snail looks sick.
Like magic darts. Fires a bunch
Snail's amazing.
all at once.
Fantastic animation.
I wasn't gonna play Illuvium until I saw this snail. It just changed everything.
Yeah, it
That
is
pretty
cool.
cool.
Looks overpowered.
Is there private beta going yet?
They had a invite for like 500 people with really good PCs sent out a while ago, so they may be playing. I'm not too sure, but it should be coming like, ideally soon. And they're gonna want it to be secure if real money's gonna be played on it, so it might not be like wound into the financial side of it when we first get it. Who knows? But they also did release a little clip talking just about how everything works, and it's short and sweet, very informative.
Is a collectible game and auto battler rolled into one. Explore our vast open world, hunt and capture illuvials, and take them into battles as you strategically build your teams to best your opponents. Illuvium is rich in resource sites that can be used to extract fuel. Fuel plays a critical role in your journey to catch and upgrade your illuvials in the main game. Fuel can be harvested on land. Land is available for purchase with ETH or SILV2. Landowners scan their land in search of illuvials that pass through to make blueprints for new skins. Illuvium Zero is our mobile and desktop companion game, where landowners develop and manage purchased land. In Illuvium Zero, build your own virtual industrial complex that can extract fuel stored as an ERC20 token in your connected wallet. Fuel is required to play the main game and can be used to accelerate your gameplay, or sold on the official Illuvium market exchange, the Illuvidex, for revenue. Illuvium land is finite and organized into 5 tiers. Each tier represents a new level of rarity. The higher the tier, the more fuel that land can generate. Land will be sold within a Dutch auction sale on the Illuvidex, and you'll need either ETH or SILV2 tokens in your wallet to purchase. In a Dutch auction, the price of land will be determined by a starting price for each tier. The price will decrease over time until purchased. To stay up to date with future Illuvium land sales, register on illuvium.io. and join our Discord server.
Interesting. A couple things come to mind for me there is that I've always known that I wanted to get land in this project since I followed it and participated in it for, I don't know what, since last August, I think is when most of it was on our radar.
Yeah.
And now that they're suggesting that it's either ETH or SILV, I guess I didn't think of that before, but yeah, I may start taking my staking rewards in SILV just in preparation for land sales. Do we have any dates on that? We know how far out it is?
Well, that was a marketing video, so they might be getting close now.
Yeah.
They would want to get that out before release, so it could be a couple weeks away, perhaps. And I suspect we'll get more of those videos.
Then the other question too is like, how much land? I mean, does that mean like 10,000 plots and then it goes to Dutch auction? I still even think potentially that would sell out depending upon the price, but I'm curious. We're gonna get a better idea of like how big is the world? How many land plots are there? What's that price going to be? Yeah, that's going to tell us a lot about how quickly it's going to get scooped up.
Yeah, and I think that brings us to a close Illuvium this week.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in land. So yeah, great work on Illuvium there, Fancy, and yeah, it's all coming together for a lot of these projects now. You see these marketing videos and a lot of support and activity happening. So stay up to date with those projects you're part of, because something might be happening. But I'm gonna actually jump in now and share my screen and talk a bit about Axie Infinity and walk through that, and then maybe just some tabs here versus the slideshow, which was a little bit more time consuming. But let's
yeah, it's convenient.
Yeah, just having tabs. But yeah, so what's going on in Axie right now? This was something I wanted to note before starting, was that there's a bug bounty program for $1 million reward after the hack of $622 million. But this is for any vulnerabilities that would be found, and so it's good to see that at some point or another a bug bounty is necessary, because you might not think or have the best security in the space. So that's good to see. You could check that out. Just Google search it, I guess. And then here we went over this earlier in the beginning of the recent updates with North Korea-based Lazarus Group being the one who breached the security of the validators. So if you're following along with that, North Korea did it again. And now, but yeah, so still on Axie here, we're going to play a quick clip on the land gameplay teaser world premiere that Axie came out with. So enjoy. Yeah.
So essentially, are the different things that they're doing there, from planting crops and those sort of things, are those going to be crafting materials? Is that how will you use the different types of things?
Right. So there's going to be harvesting, right? Production, crafting. There's going to be new buildings, I guess, that you can erect from what you have. We see some there already that you're probably most likely going to need to use your axes to acquire those assets. Not on chain, by the way, from what we know now, versus what was told to us as the early on community that these items would be. So, if I stand corrected, then so be it. But I came across a lot of information along my journey in Axie that this was going to be an MMORPG open world, and it doesn't seem to be what we're looking at now. So there's some conversation happening in the space where there's going to be more bearish sentiment amongst people than if this is an MMORPG. It might get there at one point, but I guess all the while we were thinking this is what the project was building it out to be, and now we have a more, I guess, simpler introduction to land play, and it makes sense that it would probably be built on from what it is that we're seeing. But yeah,
are you able to enlarge that image?
Yeah. That's what I was gonna do. There's a Substacks article that came out, but it's just the video, and then on the bottom of it saying that this is very early on, you know, game footage of what's to be built upon. So nothing is set into concrete yet. Yeah, this is just one of the community members of the Axie Infinity Metaverse. Just he does these infographics just to break down, I guess, what he saw. It's it's nothing too crazy, but it gives you a nice visual of what's going on as far as what was seen in the video. And you see in the video, there's a lot of timers going down. It seemed, and there's a lot of talk of it being talked about as a Everdale knockoff from what do you call it? Supercell, right? So the creators of Clash of Clans, and
Right.
this game came out in August just last year as a new game that was launched. And I don't know how or who knew in the Axie team this was actually being developed before August of last year. But because if this is what they're coming out now with, it seems to be the art style that they always had, or were interested in creating. So again, there's no exact details. I feel like a lot of what was told to us in the community for when it comes to land was something that was going to be grander than what we've gotten and seen. So I'm still bullish on what I see, but I'm expecting it to be what I was told, a long while ago.
Is Axie having an identity crisis?
Well, a lot of people are, again, this is just what I'm hearing and reading in the space, that the team is now, or revamped what they had, or just, I guess, started from scratch, where all of the new projects that they had such a lead on in the space as far as development have gotten to the point. So now it's kind of like everyone's equal as far as where they're at in development for a better game, as far as Axie is concerned, because Illuvium started right out the gate as having that vision, open world, and having the quality of it to be that. With Axie, they had a vision of that quality being a substantial, but they didn't have the funds, or I guess they weren't as ready for it financially to then, I guess, start over if that's what actually happened. Right, but again, this is all things that I'm speculating on, that because now we had that debacle, I would say, of information when it came to the initial live stream with Ziori and the lead land developer. I'm just gonna say, Phil Law, and there was a disconnect between the information that was known amongst the two of them, and then that was shared with the community. So the sentiment was negative once the information came out that there's going to be free land. So there was something of the sort of free land taking place for people to play and build and potentially earn off of. So then what was the point of having all the land that was sold initially, and then the other quadrants of the map of Lunasia that would open up? So again, this is just what I'm reading and hearing, and it seems to be the case where Phil Law and the project, the developers and the whole team, kind of went back on what they said and made a tweet right after the live stream saying that we hear you guys, and we're going to be applying some type of soft staking mechanism for land, because these assets we've been holding, right? And I say we because I'm invested in land as well as every other aspect of the game for Axie Infinity. And we haven't been able to earn anything where we see these other projects that are doing these things right out the gate or incorporating them as they go, but in a shorter amount of time than Axie did. And it's just like, what's keeping Axie and the team from doing anything of the sort where you're able to earn, even if it's not a token that's tradable yet, or swappable, or sellable, or whatever you want to call it. Or even resources, like something that's gonna reward the early investors, right? OG or not,
Yeah.
if you got in early, and this is how people or projects are incentivizing the holding of their NFTs, whether they're you know uh, so there's a lot of community organization happening now around these topics, and
That's good.
the team is hearing out more of the people who have land and invested in them, and there's going to be a committee that's created, and so I'm still, after what the team did right after, it should have been this video shown on the live stream instead of just a conversation about land when it then went to poop, right? And then after the fact, they show this like a day or two later. So I don't know who's exactly, uh, giving the okay on what's going on, but the people who are onboarded new to Sky Mavis or Axie Infinity, I don't think that they have the ethos of or the knowledge on what the project was since
Right.
it was created, because there was roadmaps. I should have actually brought one up, but there has been roadmaps that the Axie Infinity team released, and it has a lot of information about what everyone's still holding true and wanting to see. But we're not seeing that now with the new members coming on board, who are needing to pretty much catch up and learn about everything, not just from the team's perspective, but from the community's perspective, because we kind of all grown together in a way. It's a very close knit community when it comes to land, Mystic Axies, and the OGs in the space, and even within the last year. Those scholarship managers, those who really double down and love the project, they're here for the long haul. And yeah, you're seeing people selling their Mystic Axies who were here, like Bryson, maybe a well-known content creator in the space. I know Dave versus Axie, and I think someone else. They posted up for sale their Mystic Axie, and it was almost like, oh my gosh, betrayal of the whole vision of Axie Infinity. And it's just like everyone's got different financial means and things that they have to take care of. So whether you
There's
like a project or not, yeah,
it's actually an opportunity though that and that kind of goes off of something else you were saying as well, as far as how do you take care of your early adopters, right? So when I see people that are prominent in the Axie community doing things like selling Mystic Axie, some people might look at that and say, okay, the project's done. But you could also look at it and say, okay, well, this is an opportunity, because if Axie figures out a way to punish that, if they pump so much value into the people who had previous regular NFTs, mystics, land, stuff like that, they have these new game modes coming out. They pump value back into those people and basically add utility to these former NFTs, or value to these former NFTs. That'll be a big play, and it'll be like kind of like a landmark, that it'll be another benchmark that other projects are going to have to meet.
I think it's absolutely important to take your top tier, NFTs. What are the things that represent your OGs? What represents the top status? What is your equivalent of a bored ape within your community? But I also think that projects shift and adjust over time, and it's totally should be okay for someone to say, hey, you know what, this has been a great ride, but I'm getting off the train and I'm going to go. I'm going over here. And so I think we're going to see that. The thing that I often question about a number of projects, and I'm curious about the same here with Axie, is like, who is their target market and what is the experience that they're creating? And I say that because, we've had this conversation on the show before, where you've got the OGs, like Ray and the community that you're well familiar with because you've been around since early days, who love the game for the love of the game and are really into it. And then you had this big influx of scholars that came in, and that represented, and probably still does, the bulk of people that are actually hands-on, that actually touch the game each day. So when the game develops forward, and they're doing things like land sales and open world, and then now this thing that kind of represents farming and crafting and these other things, they seem like completely separate or different experiences that will appeal to completely different groups of people. That's why I was asking, like, are they having an identity crisis, or are they just kind of reaching to try and figure out who they are? And that's quite possible. Companies do that. Companies grow to a certain place, and then they're like, okay, well, how do we reinvent ourselves, and who are we now? Because it does seem as if they're trying to do a number of different things, and I don't know that all of those things are complementary to each other. So then where do they go from here?
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier, as far as like, I think the token, I don't want to say tokenomics model because that's not accurate, but the business model, the economics model, has shifted a bit in these projects. So back when Axie first launched, you had what I call the two token model. You had the Axie token, you had the SLP token. One was the one you earned and burned in a way, and the other one was the one that you wanted to hold on to because it was going to have governance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the model that everybody followed. Now you're seeing a new model kind of emerge that's kind of piggybacking on land being such a big deal, as far as, value in the metaverse. So they're adding in land, they're selling the land, and they're saying, okay, so what are we going to do to make the land valuable? Well, the utility is going to be, you're going to be able to create products on this land. And then these products are going to be valued back into the original game part, into the original game mode. And so that's kind of the model that you've seen kind of added to the two token model in order to try to create value in these tokens. It's basically another lever that they can use, they can kind of pull to kind of bring the value of a token up or down by increasing the value of these products that you're going to be able to produce. So it's basically like a third tier. So you have the two tokens, and now you have skins as well being introduced in a lot of these games.
Yeah, I want to emphasize that the target market is probably going to be the 10 million in addition to what we have already that they want to attract into the game within the next, like, I guess, handful of years. They mentioned in a previous post, and it might be hard for a lot of people to believe, but if it's possible, or even if they get half of that, these new people coming in are going to be exposed to just what they know now, and maybe not be able to go as far back into its inception of what was promised or what was said. There's not any hard documentation, and there wasn't one isolated place where you can go and see all of what was talked about in the discords or the roadmaps that have been updated of the 3 that I am aware of. And then, and plus whatever else is mentioned on a Twitter post, right? So there's information all over the place that is promising information, just like this tweet here by the lead land developer, and he's discussing how after the community mentioned or cried out almost like, why have a arena season where you earn rewards in AXS for V2, which is the old I guess gameplay, I'll call it, of Axie Infinity, the 2D version. Or the old Battles V2 versus having that season 21 in the new Origins V3, right? So if we're gonna slowly get rid of V2, why not just take all the rewards and the competitive aspect of what V2 is gonna be and have that in V3? So we see the community being heard in ways after announcements have been made from what the team originally planned, and then maybe backstepping or backtracking to opening it up to the community at large, for those who are the esports competitors or the general player base. So it's good to see that they do that after the fact, but it's not great as far as optics or future potential investors or people or who have been invested to see this flip flop almost. It's great to know that they're open, but we just need more of a.
I kind of like it. I like them listening to the community, actually.
Well, yeah, it's great because now people. But that's the thing. Like, the community shouldn't be helping a project to the point where it steers the project almost completely, unless, like I said in previous episodes, that there's a plan already that the team has, and they're literally just pulling the heartstrings of the community, like conspiratorially, right? Where they wanted to make the market go down by announcing it or saying something that went against the ethos of what was the OG community, right? Up until this land announcement, and then have the prices come down so new people could come in and there's a more diversification amongst the land. Because if there's so many people who own just own all the land, a handful of people own all the land, which isn't technically the case. There are major land owners, but this is just my mind just entertaining the thought. But again, it's just like, whether that happened or not, there's announcements that are being made that are pumped out and then backstepped on because the community is against it, and for good reason, because we were already told
it's a good topic, because it's like, on the one hand, like, I'm pretty big on wanting the devs to listen to the community and basically build the game in a more open, decentralized kind of manner, to where what the public wants, what the gamers want is what's most important. At the same time, it kind of goes back to what Jesse was saying, as far as it does make it look more like they're having a midlife crisis and don't really know what direction they're going to go in if they are listening to the community too much. So I kind of get what you're saying, Ray, but at the same time, I feel like it's positive if it doesn't go overboard.
Right, and without a doubt, I'm bullish. Like, I know I'm talking about what needs to be talked about here, but
Right.
In the grand scheme of things, depending on where you're at and how much and when you got in, all of these things are important. But I don't see the game not being a success as far as keeping enough daily active users, as we saw with Crypto Slam. Even with everything that happened, all time, even 30-day, like you look at the macro and the micro, right? I'm very entrenched in the community and knowing what's going on, and you follow particular wallets that are those OG accounts that have the most of whatever it is, and with all of these updates that took place, or things that didn't sound good to what you would think is the majority, which is on Twitter, right? There's very large cliques of different eras of when people got in, so there's a lot of noise coming from
Absolutely.
a different era of clique Axie Infinity community members,
Mhm.
and they have all the right to just voice their opinions and bring up valid concerns that even the OGs might or already expressed years before, but have maybe tirelessly just stopped up until this last land announcement. Land is a pretty big thing, and the land of Lunacia was always touted to be the place of Valhalla, right? So if we're gonna have this Web3 NFT gaming experience that's decentralized over time, there needs to be some earning potential off of the assets that and that's what the whole point was, where land was to be the AXS, another income or a stream of AXS rewards, right? They didn't ever mention staking to earn that AXS, but with everything that's been happening, it's only right that for us to wait another 8 months, which was told to us as landowners, that until we see anything playable. And if now we know what we're going to be playing is an Everdale type of gameplay where it's not an MMORPG, dungeon diving, chimera fighting with the group, kingdom building, right? Clan wars, right? More like kind of like a So that's what the whole image was sold to us as, right? And there was also a comment I mentioned. I read that that Axie did a Gala Games type of situation where the founders talked about how you're not. They didn't verbatim say this, but that's the sentiment that I was getting, was just because you own it doesn't mean you should earn something by holding it, by having it. And it's just like, wait, well, yeah, I guess we're spoiled in the sense where we should earn something from, because other projects are doing it. But it only makes sense, like I said earlier, when Grant was on from Undead, Undead Blocks, where the space is evolving, and I'm curious to know if any team is having a department of people who do research, who learn about what other projects are doing that are keeping the community strong and healthy, the ones who bought in early versus the ones who just came in now, and for whoever they're trying to appeal to down the road for maximum growth and adoption. It's just like, because I'm seeing projects who are great at one thing and suck ass at another thing, or been around for the longest time, have a lot of money, and they're just not doing anything in the ways that a new project just came out saying, wow, that method or that smart chain capability is amazing, right? If it's only money that you need and a developer, then go find it, right? But is there a team to do that, or is everyone just in the trenches to the point where it's like a little group, and you're not in it? Like it's a clique of a development team, and they're just, I don't know. That's the thing. Just you don't know enough about the ethos or the dynamic of a team, because some tell you everything you need to know, and that others kind of like hold some information back because it's a new space, right? And we don't want to be the trailblazers and then give our secrets out to different projects, because that's what Axie and the team was saying before. That we don't want to share our innovative technology or methods of what we're trying to do here, because it's a new space and we don't want someone to copy us, essentially. But now there's projects who are doing things that you could have been doing and starting to be first as, but you're not doing it. So now,
what was the floor for the land before? I'm sorry, Ray.
Well, it was way higher. For Savannah's,
You remember
it was
like
close to 4.
it's like 20 grand or 10,000 or I know it was in the
dollars.
5
I'm not
digits USD.
sure because
Yeah.
I just remember seeing the ETH prices for Savannah being a high 1 to 2.5, or even close to 3, and then Forest was close to 5 because there was a pretty high run up at one point, and Arctics were, people were buying Mystic plots for like over 10 Ethereum, and they could only afford 1, and now I don't even know what the prices are now. Last I checked, they're almost.
Rob Mega's right from the chat. That's why I asked the question. They're significantly down, but that might be just price of ETH because they're all below, well below 2 ETH right now, or not all, but there's a lot well below 2 ETH right now.
Right,
but that's far more in range than it was.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's not to say that it's not to say that the land is not valuable, because it is, because we know exactly what we're going to get from it. We're going to get AXS, and there's going to be a certain amount you get from each land plot. But the thing is we're going to wait 8 more months to then start to play and earn that AXS off the land, when after all the kind of hiccups and bumps in the road, and all the promises, essentially, I say promises, but things that were talked about in confidence back in the day, at least what you can do now is do some soft staking of the land plots where you can't access the tokens that are released from the treasury or the allocation that was for AXS for land, and then just have that coming in to the point where, at the end of the month, and then at the end of the 8 months, we're able to play and utilize those assets to build out our plots, or to enjoy the game, and to have more confidence, I guess, from the land perspective, because I'm confident the team is gonna, over time and continually, just do what they have to do to be to stay as far as first places in the space of games. Maybe not genres. There's going to be some major changes coming down the line as far as like different games being built. But yeah, so that's pretty much what Axie is. I don't know if you guys have any questions. Land, there's a great opportunity, like you said. Nothing is either bad or good. I would just preface it with a maybe. Maybe it's bad, maybe it's good. But if there was ever a time you wanted to buy land, you know what you're gonna more or less get from it. Within 8 months, we'll have something playable. And
that's pretty much Metaverse Metaverse wide right now. Like if you were interested in something, 6 months, a year ago, and the price was too high, chances are it's a lot more palatable right now. Which, like I say, I mean, the money's always made in these bearish times. So
yeah, and then alternatively, they have the
financial advice.
Yeah, not financial advice. Alternatively, they have the RON network, right? So the equivalent of a Solana, Ethereum, or a Phantom, or an AVAX. So there's a token, the RON token, and then there's talk about how the potential for the future of RON to be a very like a great success, because it's going to be that Steam type of platform that we see Gala trying to do, bringing on games. They have the grant program for all of these different games that are going to be created to utilize the Axie assets, the actual Axies that you own. So there's already, we have and there was a major update too on the Axie announcements on how you're able to buy whatever you want via all of the tokens that they have available in Ronin Katana, which is the decentralized exchange. And you could use your AXS, you can use your SLP, you could use your RON and or wrapped Ethereum to buy any of the assets that are in the Axie Infinity community, metaverse. So you can now and essentially what I'm saying is that there's going to be more sinks of SLP usage. So expect the price of SLP, not financial advice, to see some type of, I guess, long-term sustainability as far as like price. But you're going to have those people who play the markets anyways. So I'm trying to find it here, but if not, yeah, that was definitely a thing. Maybe they only posted that on Twitter. I remember seeing it only on Twitter. But yeah, you're able to buy whatever you want with SLP. So that's pretty nice. Yeah, so I don't know, if nothing else, actually, we could jump over to my next. Yeah, so Nifty Island, a developing project. Been in there for a while, from the early days, and they just came out with their Palm DAO, and we're gonna have Charles on a pre-recording. He's a co-founder of the project, and we're gonna have him talk more in depth about the project developments and what's coming, because there's like I mentioned when Grant was here, there's those CCO projects where the copyrights of the NFT and the image and everything involved with it are going to be able to be used by other projects, and they wouldn't have to be worrying about getting sued and all this other crap that comes along with that. So Nifty Island is they're acquiring the best. I wouldn't play the video here, but you can check them out. But essentially, they're partnering with projects, well-known ones, to have their avatars 3D modeled, so you can play with them in the metaverse of Nifty Island. And like I talked about last week, Nifty Island, I showed you a roadmap. You can check out their website. So this is an MFer. You'll be able to literally play games within as they develop as the avatar that you bought. And
so kind of like World Wide Web, but better, like an upgraded version, basically.
Right. I mentioned that in a space that Charles and Zunk, who are the co-founders, they talked about. There we go. 3D avatar assets. So you want more or less empowering people in the space that see and want it to be that, right? Decentralized interoperability between assets and metaverses.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the extreme spectrum here that I mentioned earlier, where you're not going to have zombies coming into this game that look just like the ones from Undead blocks. So there's NFTs associated. Each one of those was always just claimed or given out as rewards for challenges. So no NFTs were actually created and sold, except for the pistols they have, which all grant you access to the beta, which is live. And so check it out. We'll have our own post for a video with more information from the founder that we'll get into.
Now, I tend to be bullish on projects that support the stronger NFT communities, because if you start allowing people that are Bored Apes, Cool Cats, Kongs, Neo Tokyo, whatever these organizations, these groups are, if you support them in your project, that's a lot of whale action that you have coming your way if they see value in it for whatever reason. So
right,
it's a good idea.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm sharing my volume here, but let me know if it's too loud.
I can't hear it.
Well, either way.
Yeah, we don't hear it. Yeah.
If you can't hear anything, then it's all good because it's just a little song. But there's a lot of innovation taking place on this end, which is a long time coming. We would hear all the issues with the punk owners not having ability to build businesses and brands around them. And then Bored Ape Yacht Clubs came around, really bringing a lot of attention to that. So, I'm excited for the project. I see it going places. And there's one other project called Webverse, which is doing similar things in a 3D fashion, similar to Nifty Island. But Nifty Island has been around before Webverse, but this is what's happening in the space now. This is like the next level of where the space is growing as far as these projects are concerned, where you could use your avatars and not just buy them, hold them, and earn a token, because that's like quote unquote 2017 model of NFTs. And I'm going.
Well, you have like you got like a battle of the metaverses starting to form up, right? Where everybody's launching these metaverses, and where's the attention going to go? Who's going to be the metaverse that people are going to be wanting to spend their time in the most? You're going to start seeing that as a part of the competitive part of it, of who's going to survive, over the next few years. It's going to be interesting.
Right. Yeah, just to backtrack a bit, this is the post that I had up on the tab line, where you can just purchase assets within the Axie Infinity space with any of the assets you have, SLP being one of them. So that's pretty cool. And this was an announcement after a lot of people sold their mystics and land plots and things. I don't know. They came out with so many great updates after a lot of people had a bad taste in their mouth after what they heard. So maybe it was a plan, maybe it wasn't. But yeah, last project that I'll talk about is DeFi Kingdoms. For Easter, they have a 3-day, so the 15th until the 18th. I think tomorrow it ends. You're going to be able to earn some eggs. There's a 10% increased chance of you earning eggs, which are going to be pets that help you in battle once PvE and PvP comes out. And they just finished having their expansion onto Avalanche. So yeah, if you're interested in it, we have a Discord channel in our guild, and you can learn more. The updates, join their server, and I think it's pretty cool that. Yeah, I could get into this, but yeah, the eggs are here. The pets are going to hatch, or the eggs are going to hatch into pets. There's a lot of speculation and trading for the eggs as the prices went down, as the the supply is going up. But yeah, the pets are going to have rarity. They're going to be NFTs, and you're going to be able to trade them, use them to increase some stats on your heroes. And yeah, the token prices for a lot of these games are going down. I guess DeFi Kingdoms, a lot of the community focus on the token price, but just like every other project, I'm just in it for the long haul, and I see the team. I'm betting more on the team than just what people's opinions are, which I listen to a lot of them. So yeah, check out DeFi Kingdoms. Join GoRoam.io. Could have conversations about it, and I'll be playing some undead blocks on the Discord later today, so you could check out. I guess the real frame rate of the game, unless my computer is trash. So, but yeah, that's it for me, and I'll just end my screen share. But hey, there's another project in the space that we all like, that we're excited for. It's Mirandus. I know Jess talked about it earlier, and he was gonna go pretty much more in depth. But I guess we'll just talk about what happened that Jess has, and we know that there was an AMA that happened just last week. It was promising and exciting to watch it. Yep.
The most exciting thing about the AMA was, and I've noticed in the past, because I watch these AMAs in detail. In fact, I literally take the video and I edit out the dead spots and put it into clips, because I've kind of like archived some of the things that have been shared over some of the past AMAs. And I got to tell you, the AMA got most exciting when Bitbender ducked out, which is what we've been waiting for the longest time. You let him give McCarthy the floor, let him talk to his team and talk about the things he's in without Bitbender disrupting it. And all of a sudden, it became an interesting AMA about halfway.
We had a really good conversation about that in the Discord, Jesse. I had forgotten about it till you just brought it up, but that was the moment. I commented on it directly. I think I said something like, the moment when McCarthy stood up to Bitbender, like that was it for me. Because I'm a fan of Mirandus because of McCarthy, not because of anybody else or Gala itself. Just because of listening to him and the way he thinks about the game and the way he wants to. He's an OG dungeon master. You know what I mean? He's creating a whole thing for us, and it's exciting to hear him talk. And anybody who's taking away from that, or cutting him short is just not helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to make a note on that. When McCarthy did that, I was just like, it's finally becoming evident maybe to them. They're reaching their limit on needing to listen to Bitbender say, oh, we can't give too many secrets. We can't do this.
Right.
Like, you have to watch what we say. I feel like he's whipped by Eric Schermeyer because they don't want, I guess, the community or the optics of any one project in particular to go off the rails as far as like what people, just to keep the suspense there when there isn't anything that's substantial in the first place. So when McCarthy is a developer, he's more of an artist, I think, than Bitbender. He needs to express himself in the excitement he needs to get out. And then with the community, he does that via typing. But in this particular video, he actually was just like, yeah, no, I'll hang out. There's no rush on my end. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about.
You go on to your next meeting, buddy.
Pretty much, right? And not too much in a disrespectful way, but almost like I'm going to do what I need to do for my project because that is his baby. Yeah. Right. Whether Eric knows the intricacies of what the mind is for McCarthy and how it wants to evolve into this and manifest into an actual game, no one is. I don't even think Eric Schermeyer knows much about blockchain in the first place. Every time I ever heard him talk, it's like a very I'll pay someone to do it. I don't care.
I think he's a very good CEO. I think that's likely. Yeah. But as far as a game developer or anything like that, he's
I'm not shitting on anyone throwing shade. It's just like you are specializing and have the skills in a specific area, then don't act or talk and get on a stream to then seem and appeal to the community at large who knows way more than you on the topic. And I'm sure we all experience that even on this show, right? Not all of us know everything about blockchain, about the particular networks, how it all works with smart contracts. So no one's trying to bullshit anyone here, but it felt a lot like that in the early days that, because the community was so small, you got away with it. And because so much money is coming in, you could just pay people now to do what's right. And hopefully we're seeing that happen. So sorry, Jess, I took a
Yeah, we went on a tangent there, but you know what? Shout out to Mike McCarthy.
Hell yeah.
Great job taking over your AMA, and I mean, the fans were entertained. I think in the Gala Discord, in the Rome Discord, everywhere I looked, everybody was really happy
Rome
to be able to engage with Mike McCarthy. So
Rome showed up hard. I went in there. I dropped down the bingo sheet. Right, they loved it.
Was that you that dropped it down?
Yeah,
I was wondering where they got it from. Yeah,
yeah, that was me. As soon as he said bingo, I hopped in, dropped it, not intentionally. I just was going to do it. So it was the serendipity of it all was meant to be. And then we had a lot of people who were from Rome supporting, and it seems to be that Rome comes out in numbers compared to any other early Mirandus groups or guilds in the space. You might know of some off the top of your head, but Rome seems to just be the most enthusiastic in the space as far as Mirandus for Gala Games, and we kind of, we're more unified in a certain way. So it's good to see that.
We got a bad rap in a way for standing up and calling out the things we saw as red flags. But the fact of the matter is like you say, Ray. I mean, we started as Mirandus, so I mean, a lot of our core membership is still deeply in there, and all of us at one point were very passionate and wanted to see the game develop. So it just stands to reason that as Mike McCarthy starts being able to take more control and start building this thing out, you're going to see a lot of engagement from our end.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's we're late in the show here, but we definitely want to dedicate a show and talk about some of the things in that AMA. And one of the things that actually I am most excited about, the question has always been for me: is there going to be a third?
Your sound, Jesse?
You're underwater.
Am I drowning?
You're good now.
Yeah, you're back now.
Bloop bloop. The thing that stood out for me that I'm most excited about is it is confirmed that they are going to have a third person, and that they're actually the mechanics for the first person are even harder. But at least that is the plan, that there is going to be a third person. To me, I need that. First person immersion is great, and there's probably some mechanics that will favor that. But to me, I like when you see your own character interacting, like, all the years I put into, Warcraft and some of the other MMORPGs, I like having that third person over the shoulder view. So the fact that is confirmed is exciting to me. And there was so much more. There was, not going to go into the full stream of it now, and I'll pause that, but I do had some stuff that I wanted to at some point show, but I absolutely loved this. This to me represented the first time that McCarthy actually owned the words and was showing us how the sausage is made. This gym that he put together, to me, is absolutely fantastic. And next week, as we're going over more within the AMA, we will talk a bit more about this, because to me, it's brilliant. This is the very definition of how the sausage is made, when you're actually showing the mechanics of, whether it's wall climbs or pushback or, falling in holes or falling off the world. It was brilliant. It's incredibly well done. And there was so many other great points, but again, it deserves its own entire show. I think it's the biggest and most significant update, where they even talked about, next steps for play tests and all that sort of thing. So we'll save that. You definitely want to join us for that one. It's going to be good.
For sure. Yeah, I remember seeing this in a previous announcement, but it was like a glimpse or a photo. And it's all well and good. But again, it just, like you said earlier, it shows where we confirmed a long while ago where they're actually at. And it kind of hurt, but it was exciting at the same time, because now you're being honest. We're all caught up to the same point in time now. And now we can move.
All we ever wanted was just to be open about it. Like, hey, look, this is where we're at.
Right.
Know?
Yeah.
Or just do what you say. And like now, like you said, Ray, like we know that right now is exactly about where they were pretending to be 1 year ago. It's right where they're at now.
Right. And they were getting a little hot-headed with the responses from multiple questions, even up until now, from other community members outside of Rome, of white papers, tokenomics. What can we do with this token? What's the total supply? What are the deeds, the amounts, the buildings, the boats, right? How the gameplay, how it's going to work, right? So it's not just.
We were just asking a lot of questions they weren't ready for at the time, and instead of just saying, "Hey, we're not ready for all that yet," you guys are, pump your brakes a little bit.
Yeah,
they went with the route of trying to placate us, which
because it's one thing to just to straight up bullshit, and then think your audience will never understand the complexities of what you're building, which isn't the case, because this is a new space that you're probably learning now as a Gala developer or team. Over the course of you being in the space with us, right, as a community and investors. But the thing is that it's way healthier just to be that upfront, because you're gonna have, even until this day, you have those supporters who might have wanted those questions before. They're not leaving, right? They're still around, and they would love, just like in the Axie Infinity community, want to help grow the project in a way with the developers, not to dictate what happens or not, and not to blackmail or to cast shade and to have him on a podcast, whether it's McCarthy or Bitbender, to then like rip them a new one, and haha, we told you so. Like, it's none of that. It's more of like, we've been around, we are invested, we care about these genres and the developers of the game because we follow them with their previous titles. And it's just like, yeah, let's get the ball rolling. We see some bottlenecks happening in the company. We see some things happening. We don't know a lot of what's happening. So, and some enlightenment would go a long way. Just like the Axie Infinity community, it was always saying, and what other projects have learned from already. It's just like, can we just not be so uptight as far as what we can release or not, because it's so new?
Being combative just isn't helpful, right?
Yeah. And if you're invested too much to the point up to your nose where you're going to take a shit every time you hear an announcement because you're scared, then don't you got to chill out and just like maybe diversify a little bit. Right?
That's key always, right? Don't ever invest more than you're willing to lose, and don't ever have a position be too large in any one thing like that, to where you're gonna it's all over for you if it goes bust. So shout out to Mike McCarthy once again, because he's been managing what you've been saying really well in the Discord as well. Outside of this AMA, he's been popping in that Discord.
Yeah,
our guy Observer from Rome has been sharing in our Discord whenever it's been happening. So it's been happening, I think, at least like twice a week or something. He's been going in the chat and just shooting the shit with the people. And the cool thing about that is that he's shooting his ideas out there, asking for feedback, listening to the feedback, and then also taking in the ideas that the community has at the same time. Yeah. And that's the development that we were always promised with Miranda's, and he's actually doing it now, which is amazing, because like you guys said, I mean, it's we're a year out, but they're now all of a sudden I'm starting to get excited about Miranda's again in a way that I haven't been since we started covering Star Atlas, so quite a while now.
Yeah, and I'd like to make a point on the community that exists that is not a part of Rome in the Galaverse Discord for Miranda's. And even Bitbender himself, when we were live, there was a comment in the section that was saying, oh, they come out of the woodworks and they're talking about Rome and its citizenry in support of the project, right? Because every time there's someone from Rome who talks, it's not about something negative. It's questions that are not something, or probing questions to see if there's actually nothing being developed. Like, I don't know, the way, it's a very one-dimensional thinking that some people have, and it's the lack of learning more about community and the groups associated within the Galaverse for Miranda's that I see is why this happens. So
people tend to think that, like,
hold on. Let me get this out. But Bitbender is over here saying, well, we come out the woodwork, and I didn't say anything in the chat, but it's almost like, of course we come out the woodwork to support when there's updates, when there's something to be excited about, right? We'll be around. We're in other games within Gala, like the tanks, spider tanks, and if you are, because I'm just in those two. Oh, and The Walking Dead, right? I'm in The Walking Dead. I got my nodes. We got our nodes, right? So we're highly involved, like / invested, and it's not because I want bags to go pumping, right? It's more of like, if there's anything to be excited about, we're going to be there, and we're going to talk about it. But if there's nothing for so long, you're going to make it seem like we don't come out only if there's an AMA, because we just want, we want to stir trouble. And it's just like, you don't know any better. And then on the other side, we don't know any better because there's nothing really being shared. We could always hang out and be evangelists for Gala game and be, the most Gala maxis. But that's not realistic, because we all have families, we all have other projects and other investments. So you can't expect all of the citizenry of Rome to be up in the Discord and hang out and just yay, wag me, and do all the positive. It's almost impossible. We wouldn't be doing our show if that's the case. So thank you, Observer, for being able to dedicate as much time as you do to updating us, there's things coming down the road for that, and that's the whole point of community. So we all have eyes in the back of our heads, and we could all work towards and have fun together playing these games that we want to play. So for all those types of comments, I just think it's pointless, and it's what they are telling us that we do. It's like a weird double speak Twilight Zone situation going on.
Well, you can't, and that's the thing about it. Like I think a lot of people misunderstand what Rome is, right? Because we don't operate as a monolith. And you might hear one of us say a comment one day on the show, and you might be personally offended by that or whatever. You feel like, oh, you were attacked, and you might feel like all of Rome is behind that. When we were, we've had knockdown dragouts in the Rome Discord where we go at it, and over Miranda specifically, and Gala in general sometimes, you know what I mean? And the people who are staunch Gala Miranda supporters are still core members of the guild. They didn't go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like we protect all of the membership and freedom of speech and things of that nature. So yeah. Going forward, we're still going to be calling Gala out, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, don't expect us not to be excited when one of our favorite games comes out with good updates or good content. Like that's obviously we're going to be supporting that.
Well, that's totally correct. And I don't know if anyone else has anything to say on the team here. We can do our wrap up roundabout because we just hit the top of the hour, 3 hours total, closer to the world record that we ever had before. So I'll say my piece and then I'll hand it over to Jess, and then we could go from there. So thank you guys. Appreciate your time. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Some promising stuff. And subscribe, like, support. Check us out. Join the Discord at gorome.io. And Jess, thanks, guys.
Yeah, Fancy, you got any final words?
No. Ray stole all of them.
Ray got them all, man. Ray got them all. How about you, Bonafide?
Hey, good morning to everybody out there. If you're listening now, as we approach this bear market, understand that the bear market is where everything is made. And if you're here now, we're all going to make it. I'll keep saying that until 2024. We'll see what happens then.
Right. Yes, no doubt. The metaverse is expanding, and it's pretty cool for us to be looking at other projects in the space. Ray, you've been awesome at bringing guests on. You've got another one, looking forward to Nifty, which one we'll be doing pre-record, similar the way we did with Wagner. And then, as already mentioned, we've got a lot finally to talk about. With Mirandus and the development there. And the truth is, as it's already been mentioned, we want good things over there because it right now has the head start. It seems to be the premier fantasy game that has crafting and lore and magic and all those things built in, man. And if they get it right, we all win. So we all want good things for them. We just want to keep them checked and on point. And with that, folks, we will see you here same time next week. Thanks for all of you that join us, especially those that join us regular. And for those of you that are new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to join our gaming guild, you can find us at gorome.io. And with that, we will see you guys next week. Cheers.
Atlas Miner, you were born to push the block in search of ore. And now it's time that you are gone. So farewell, Atlas Miner. And farewell, Mud and Oni too. Who's the sector same to you? The pirate bastards ran him through. So farewell, Atlas Miner. They promised you a diamond mine, but I'll be damned, it's hard to find. I hope there's justice for their crimes. And farewell, Atlas Miner. And farewell, friend, don't take it hard. Getting killed ain't all that bad. They'll treat you well in the repair yard. So farewell,